Hey guys. This is part 10 of What If Naruto Can Level Up. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are paid, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 28, Feisty Redheads. Half a day later, still can't believe we're babysitting the competition, Ino groused, hopping from one tree to the next. We might as well just give him a handicap. And I still can't believe you're still complaining about it. Get over it already, Ino, Naruto told her. His reply was her flipping him the bird. Glad to see your bitchin's still intact, Blondie, Anko from up front called out. And trust me, I don't like it any more than you. I want you guys to kick ass, make me look good, and make me a lot of money. You're betting on us? Naruto gawked. Actually, I can see you doing that. Well, duh. After so many months together, her team should know her by now. She made it perfectly clear that she wasn't the average and stereotypical Jonin instructor. Yep. And you'd better win or take him down with ya, or else. Or else what, Anko-sensei? Hinata asked. I don't know. Back to the dungeon. Make you do laps till you can't feel your legs for weeks? Truthfully, she hadn't thought that far, and she was pulling all this out of her ass. Though the groaning and moaning she heard got her point across. Anyway, this will give you the opportunity to know your competition too. You make it sound like we're gonna be facing bandits or something, Naruto pointed out. Then again, better weak-ass bandits and mercenaries than rogue Nin. Thanks to Nami, Naruto had his fill for the next little while. Anko merely shrugged before elaborating. It's not uncommon for other villages to hire groups to sabotage the competition when they make their way over. Gives their own team a better chance at winning. That's why we do this. Naruto frowned but nodded nonetheless. Ninja were meant to fight dirty, but there were times where Naruto felt that a line had to be drawn. Naruto wanted to go all out and be pushed in this exam. That couldn't really happen if the competition was out of commission before it even began. So Kusa. What did you think we'd be dealing with? Poisons and ambush tactics. Kusa's a minor village and country, but they're rich in various herbs and fertile land. Pretty good at getting info, too, Ino declared and felt all eyes on her. The Yamanaka was originally from Kusa no Kuni before we migrated to Hai no Kuni along with the Nara and Akimichi. Plus Mom and her family moved from Kusa to Konoha when she was young. Kusa's more or less the #1 place in the world for poison production. How do you know that? Naruto asked. Other than messing with people's minds, my clan specializes in plants and making poisons out of them. Mom's parents were poison specialists, so they taught her what she knows, and she began teaching me what I know when I got back, Ino finished with a smirk. Joke's on you, Ino. Clan perks and the Kyuubi seal the knee reduces poison effectiveness, the boy smirked back. Ino's right. Kusa's fighting tactics have more or less been the same for the last couple of centuries. I'll let you guys figure out what else they're good at for yourselves. Much like she stated months before, the woman wasn't going to babysit her team. For them to grow as ninja, they needed to figure things out for themselves. Speaking of which, you never did teach us how to lockpick stuff, sensei. Naruto watched as Anko blinked before she mumbled incoherently. Or those other skills you promised. Yeah, when are you gonna teach us something, sensei? Ino added. Most of their physical skills, along with their most basic ninjutsu, were either mastered or on the verge of being mastered. In all honesty, Anko had forgotten about that. Oh, she could certainly teach them a few things here and there, such as the lockpicking, and she had a few other things she fiddled with during the last month, but what else after that's done? Naruto's gamer skill, coupled with his Kage Bunshin, and his dungeon time manipulating ability allowed them to learn things much more quickly. Most genin and even chunin took several weeks or sometimes months before they could properly use certain C-rank or B-rank techniques. As a result of Naruto's unique gift, her team was learning and mastering them at a fraction of the time. Anko knew her team's chances of being promoted were pretty damn high. While there was no guarantee for Ino and Hinata, though she'd be surprised if they weren't, Naruto's overall raw power made him a shoo-in. Chunin rank ninja were normally promoted because they had the field and leadership experience, tactical mindset and power required of the rank. While Naruto's tact was unconventional most times, Anko had an inkling that it was enough to get him promoted. The sheer power demonstrated in his techniques would also play a defining factor, too. Be pretty stupid to let someone with that kind of power stay stuck with the second lowest rank, Anko surmised before thinking about her other students. Where Ino and Hinata lacked in that department, compared to Naruto at least, they made up for it with their sound mindset, intelligence, and coordination. If all three were promoted, Anko had the intention of taking Ino on as an apprentice as she continued to prove herself. Newly promoted Chunin still stayed with their old team for the next couple of months while they were eased into their new roles. Naruto and Hinata's fighting style and inner talents were too different from Anko's own compared to their Yamanaka teammate. Anko would recommend Hinata taking lessons from the combat medics, but she had no idea where to put Naruto. He was a wind user, but the only qualified instructor, and the only one she trusted, was Asuma. And the man had his own team to deal with. If anything, he can train under Yugao and Hate for the next little while till I figure something out, both had asked for him every time she met them. Hate said Naruto certainly had talent with a blade, unorthodox as it was, and even since he joined her team the lessons had slowly declined. Either way, Anko would take the matter one step at a time and focus on what she and her team needed to accomplish. Or, more specifically, what she needed to accomplish. Flashback: a month ago, Anko wondered if she should have kept her mouth shut when she told Hiruzen she knew about Naruto's mother. It certainly made things much more interesting, that's for sure. Meh. Life's too short to go the boring dull route. The outcome allowed her to learn more about the clan, what remaining information Konoha had, and had allowed her access to additional resources. She only knew bits about them through her bastard of a teacher beforehand, but it was limited. Still, Anko couldn't help but recall the look her leader had at the time. If she was honest, it was a resigned one. And why wouldn't it be? Anko wasn't the smartest of ninja. Talent didn't equate intelligence. But Hiruzen knew the young woman was sharp enough to put two and two together if the right circumstances presented themselves. Lying to her wouldn't work, and having her disappear was a no-go, for multiple reasons. So Hiruzen swore her to secrecy and told her what she needed to know. Anko suspected there was more but wasn't going to push her luck. Her student probably had a right to know before she did. The boy deserved to learn about his family. Speaking of which, Anko, you understand what needs to be done, correct? I do, Hokage-sama. You know Konoha's rep is gonna take a blow for it, right? Officially her team's job was to escort the Kusa team. Technically it was teams, but all four teams represented the same village. Anko's off-the-book duty was simple: direct Kusa to the ambush site and subdue the teams. I do. Would it damage Konoha's reputation? Hiruzen knew the answer was yes. But Kusa's would suffer even more. The moment word got out that Kusa was forcefully holding ally clan members of Konoha against their will, it wouldn't be pretty. While they slowly recovered from it, not completely though, many countries were still distrustful of Kyuubi for their Hyuga stunt. Force-wise, Kyuubi was the strongest of the five. But as a result of their stunt, Kyuubi's economy suffered a severe blow due to loss of clients and allies. But it was only due to the fact that they were part of the Great Five Shinobi countries and their country's strongest hidden village that they managed to recuperate from the ordeal. While Kusa no Kuni was a major powerhouse back during the early days of the Warring States era, like dust in the wind, those days were now long gone. Being the country's strongest and only hidden village, which wasn't saying much, the economic loss Kyuzugakure no Sato would suffer from would greatly affect the rest of Kusa. However, if your team is as skilled as I know they are, it will more than make up for it. The Uzumaki clan was our ally. One of my biggest regrets is not being able to help them in their time of need. She's an Uzumaki, and Kusa is using this poor girl as a walking medical station. How do you know? Jiraiya's reports say they did the same with her mother. The man's visage contorted into a hateful scowl. It only took Anko a few minutes to piece everything together. They used her till she just couldn't take it anymore. Could she? It made sense. If the mother were alive, she'd be involved in the rescue attempt too. Yes, the man growled and caused Anko to form a frown of her own. If we don't do anything, then this girl will certainly meet the same fate as her mother. We need to extract her, and as soon as possible. Jiraiya says she's under constant watch so he can't make a move without compromising him. The man was very skilled at stealth, but the odds of him being caught were stacked against him. Jiraiya was skilled, but not skilled enough to take on an entire village. If he used his summons, Hiruzen knew his student could get her out quickly and with no injuries. But it would also cause a great deal of casualties and collateral damage to innocent bystanders as a result. That was something Hiruzen wanted to avoid at all costs. The third Hokage wasn't his later mentor Tobirama, who wasn't afraid to make an example out of an entire village to send a message. Also, the chances of her defecting or being taken in by our enemies are highly likely. Maybe not today, but definitely somewhere down the line. Why? Who's eyeing her? If she showed the trademark Uzumaki signs, then Anko knew others would be looking to nab her. It didn't take a genius to know what tended to happen to captured individuals with unique qualities. It wasn't a pretty picture. Jiraiya suspects Kumo may be one. Somehow that didn't surprise Anko, despite their failed attempt with Hinata, and the rest of the world becoming distrustful of them. I had Jiraiya keep a close eye on them. Their movements have been subtle and they appear trustworthy. But it's clear they've learned from their mistake. Despite how it sounded, Anko knew the man meant in regards to getting caught. They've been looking around, and while they lack the same level of intelligence network we possess, Jiraiya thinks they may suspect the girl to be in Uzumaki. But that's not the worst of it. What's worse? She asked. The man followed up by only saying one word, but it was enough for Anko to instantly take the mission, Orochimaru. I'll do it, she declared, making the man nod. What's our backup? And there was the tricky part. Flashback end. In the end, the only backup Hiruzen could provide at the moment was 4 Anbu. Despite being regarded as the best of a village, the numbers were still stacked against them. Luckily, Yugao was one of them, so Anko knew it was decent backup. There was no way in hell that the purple-haired Jonin was going to let that sick, twisted son of a bitch get his filthy, malicious hands on that girl. Having witnessed and suffered through his twisted deeds firsthand, Anko didn't want the few remaining family, distant as they may be, that Naruto had go through the same thing. Torturing people was something the woman did because she was good at getting others to spill their guts. Well, that and it was fun. The woman wasn't ashamed to admit that she was a sadist. Orochimaru's skill, loathed, as she wanted to admit it, was on a whole other level than hers. The man was a true artist when it came to torture. It came very naturally to him like a duck took to water. The man was more of a sadist than even Anko. However, compared to Anko's creepy quirkiness, his was more want to commit suicide after it was done. Which meant they needed to hurry to Kusa and fast, double time people. Elsewhere, go back, the woman ordered. Asageo-sama? The woman's entourage questioned, looking at one another confusingly. Tell Harakichi-sama I'll be fine. The only reason she took these men along was because the Supreme Godfather didn't like it when she went out on her own. The man knew she was skilled, but he had a chivalrous side to him. Ironic considering he had no trouble killing women and men, ninja or civilian, peasant or noble, in the most gruesome and painful manner if he saw them as his enemies. Part of her having an escort was also due to her being one of his greatest assets. The man wasn't keen on any harm coming to her. Though even she wasn't safe from his butt, the man's next words were caught in his throat as a crimson spiked chain hovered inches away from his head, threatening to skewer his brain. I said go, she ordered one last time. The men got the message and the woman watched as they fled back home. Geez, think you could have scared them any further? A voice rang in the clearing. Shut it, Mako, Asagao spoke and watched, as a brown-haired barefoot girl appeared. Standing at 5'7", her hair in a ponytail with a black ribbon and sporting a pair of gold knuckle dusters, it was clear she was a physical fighter. Seriously, you're no fun, Asageo-chan. You need to loosen up, you know. You know what you need? I swear to God if you say I need to get laid one more time. The woman emphasized her threat, but producing more chains and pointing them at the younger woman. Despite being a brilliant scientist and being exceptionally focused when doing her job, Mako had one of the most upbeat and quirky personalities Asagao knew. Not 2 minutes into seeing one another, and already fighting. Can't say I'm surprised, another woman announced before she entered the clearing. Shaka. Mako greeted the woman with a flying embrace. most would fall to the ground by the sheer force of the impact. Then again, Benishaku, or Shaku as Mako liked to call her, wasn't most people, or most women to be exact. Standing at 6'10", Benishaku was easily the tallest of the three, and easily one of the tallest women in the elemental countries, perhaps even the tallest Uzumaki. The woman who held no traces of fat on her frame had a physique that was well defined. Her muscles, especially around her abdomen, were easily visible, and one would assume they were made from marble. The only thing that made her stand out was her darker skin tone. Mako, the woman, greeted the younger Uzumaki with a motherly or sisterly smile. "You've maintained your training, yes? What the hell kind of question is that? Can't exactly beat you one day without training," the girl grinned. "True. I still say it won't do her any good," Asagao smirked as she got her rise out of the Mako. That always made her day. But enough chit-chat. You know why we're here. Yeah? Clan business? Mako said, and her spunky demeanor changed into total seriousness. How many? 2, a boy and a girl. The girl's in Kusa, possibly a pure blood, while the boy's in Konoha, possibly a half-blood, she frowned. Was he cute? Mako earned herself a smack upside the head via Asagao's chains. Oh. The hell. Whether he's cute or not is irrelevant, the woman shouted. I didn't exactly hear a no, but yeah, I get ya, Mako, but how do we get him to leave? Can't exactly force him to, you know. Regrettable as it is, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with you on this, I don't think it'll be possible. Konoha abandoned us when we needed them most, and that boy's been living there for a long time. I doubt anything we tell him will get him to leave, Asagao scowled. Still blaming Konoha, huh? Shaku merely closed her eyes and knew Mako would soon regret bringing it up. You're damn right I am, the woman shouted, her red hair now wild and menacing. They abandoned us when we needed them the most. You have no idea what Shaku and I witnessed. The murdering, the raping, the destruction. Our whole way of life was taken away from us. And you want to know what Konoha did? Asagao, Mako tried to apologize but never got the chance. Nothing. They did nothing but sit back and left us to our doom. Yuzu was a small but powerful country, and now it's nothing more than a pile of rubble and corpse. I estimate less than 50 Uzumaki remain. But I wouldn't expect you to Asagao. That's enough. Shaka barked, her eyes stone cold, and her voice carrying authority. Despite her composure, the oldest of three knew how angry and riled up Asagao could get during her rants. Of the three women, only Shaku and Asagao were pure-blood Uzumaki, while Mako was a half-blood they discovered years after the massacre. Despite being an Uzumaki, Asagao believed Mako took her lineage for granted and, due to being born years later, didn't truly understand the horrors of that fateful day. Which, in essence, was neither wrong nor right. What about the girl? Shaka asked, trying to get things back on track and get Asagao to channel her emotions elsewhere. Right. The girl's another story. She's in Kusa, but she was born with the healing gift, and Kusa knows about it. Fuck. Mako scowled while Benishaku scowled. Both knew that any Uzumaki born with that gift were highly sought after. A person with life-threatening injuries could be healed within minutes, or even seconds if they consumed enough of their chakra. Indeed. And if my sources are right, Kusa plans to have her enter the Chunin exams with her team, and she's never been in actual combat. We need to get moving now, Asagao informed. But Kusa's 3 days from here. By the time we get there we'll have missed them, Mako stated. Asagao merely gave her a flat look. We're not going to Kusa. Whenever one of the Great Five hosts the Chunin exams, they are to send a team to guide and lead the contestants to said village. Konoha is doing just that. Here the woman took out a blank scroll and sent a pulse of chakra that caused a holographic map to appear. Of the three, despite Shaku being the eldest, Asagao was the most skilled at Fuinjutsu. Alright, here's Konoha and here's Kusa. At ninja speed, they'll reach it within 2 or 2.5 days. Standard procedure is they'll stay in the village to get all the paperwork in order for a day. If everything goes well, they'll be leaving the next with the Kusa teams in tow. Now we're on the opposite side of Konoha, so we won't get to Kusa in time. But knowing what I do, Konoha will be taking the same route back, here or here. I'll set up a few seals further up these paths to know which way they'll come. That's where we'll ambush them. Not wanting to crap all over your plan and all, but there's gonna be 3 of us and 7 of them if you exclude the redhead. Even if we catch him by surprise, those are some odds I don't like. Shaku knew Mako had a point. Shaku and Asagao were highly skilled Jonin-level ninja, while Mako was a skilled fighter Chunin-level ninja. Under the right circumstances, they could take on 3 teams, and despite potentially suffering a few decent injuries, they'd come out winning. Shaku knew that 4 or 5, on the other hand, was too much, and one of them would probably die as or be captured. The 2 would have serious injuries, forcing them to flee. And unlike Shaku and Mako, who were ninjutsu and taijutsu specialists, Asagao was more of an ambush specialist. The short redhead Uzumaki was bloody skilled at ambushing and catching others by surprise if given time to prepare in advance, but the woman wasn't the greatest of close combat fighters. Technically it will be us against 5 teams if my sources are correct. She ignored Mako's disbelieving look and cursing, which is why I brought in some additional help. You didn't? Shaku asked, knowing and not liking where this was going. Oh no. No, 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 no. Hell no. You asked her for help. Are you crazy? The girl accused. She's an Uzumaki. And the granddaughter of Uzumaki Ashina. Which makes her your clan leader. I don't care if she's the clan head. She's bloody fucking nuts. You remember what she and those other nut jobs are doing, right? Asagao frowned, but even then a part of her rational mind couldn't deny the truth of Mako's words. However, the woman just as quickly dismissed those thoughts. It's been done, and she's agreed to help us. I suggest you deal with it. We move in 5. Asagao left without a word while Mako ranted, raved, and punched the nearby trees, making them shudder in the process, and leaving noticeable dents in them. She's gonna drive me crazy. Shaku, do something. Shaku merely sighed. What's done is done, Mako. We both know we can't do anything about it, and you know how she is? Which one, the crazy nutcase or the pain in the ass that makes decisions without consulting yous beforehand? You know, the one we call a friend? Mako asked. You know, I don't get it. Why do you let her do this? She's family, Mako. One of the few we have left. And I learned long ago that once she gets it in her head, even if it means making deals with the devil, nothing will stop her, Shaku said. That's what I'm afraid of, Mako thought. Harakichi, aka the Supreme Godfather, held the position in part thanks to Asagao. The woman was one of the few to inherit the rare ability to sense another's emotions. More specifically, ill intent. This made it easy for the man to know who to ally with and who to get rid of. With her help, the man had not only gotten rid of the competition, but he also became the youngest Yakuza to hold the title of Supreme Godfather. Asagao had become his right-hand girl as a result. Even then, Mako wasn't a fan. She only met him once, but it was clear the man was as fiercely intelligent as he was brutal. He was someone Mako didn't want to piss off. Days later, so this is Kusa? Gotta admit, not as nice as Konoha, Ino stated, the girl believing it to be one of the reasons why her grandparents left in the first place. The land does seem to have seen better days, Hinata noted. Some of the rice fields were in shambles or had very noticeable uneven terrain. The last few wars weren't exactly kind to it, Anko informed her student. Unlike Amigakure, another minor village, Kusa didn't possess incredibly talented ninja of exceptional power. Perhaps at one point in time, they did, but not presently. One of the main reasons why the Great Five had difficulties with aim was due to Hattori Hanzo, aka Hanzo the Salamander, a ninja that was only outmatched by a rare select few like Sarutobi Hiruzen. Kusa had no such ninja. Your picklocking attempt has failed. Damn it! Naruto shouted. I'm surprised, Gaki. With all those breaking and entering pranks you pulled, you'd think you'd be good at this, Anko teased, ignoring the look he sent her. Truth be told, the places Naruto usually broke into to pull his pranks were civilian establishments. Last time I tried a ninja home, I got busted within seconds, Naruto recalled. His distraction causing him to fail on the makeshift lockbox Anko made with a few supplies on hand and pit stops. Put it away for now, Anko ordered, we got work to do. Despite the grumbling, Naruto did as instructed and fell in line as they made their way towards the entrance of Kusagakure. Naruto noticed that the two guards didn't immediately react as soon as they saw them compared to Konoha, nor did he sense any other ninja nearby. Either they're well hidden, or their security sucks. Based on what he heard so far, Naruto was inclined to believe the latter. While Anko spoke with a Kusa Jonin, Naruto took the time to sense his surroundings. The tidbit of information regarding information gathering was pretty accurate, too. Kusa's citizens and ninja weren't exactly subtle. Naruto felt their eyes on him and his team. He could sense their movement. Then again, my detection skill and sensory skill are pretty damn high thanks to the dungeon. A village could be famous for something, but to those more skilled it wasn't as impressive. Constantly having to be on alert and tracking food every day for 4 months would increase as skills level exponentially. The boy held back a smirk as he noticed the subtle movements of his Niken and the two kunoichi. Looks like I'm not the only one that noticed. Alright, thanks. Anko finished and brought her attention towards her team. These are our one-day visas. Don't lose them. They said you're free to look around, but they won't hesitate to throw us in the slammer if one of you causes any trouble. We're free to look around? Naruto asked. Yeah, you four are on your own, but try to stay together. And for the love of Kami, don't cause a scene. Or get goading into one. I gotta go over some things with the heads of the village before we leave. Don't bother waiting up. Anko knew from experience that such meetings could last well into the night. The woman wasn't exactly a fan of these things. Man, this is gonna suck. Watching her head off to what was assuredly about to a dull meeting, teammate contemplated what to do next as they walked through Kusa. Well, this is a first. We're in a new village, might as well see what they have to offer. Shouldn't we be gathering information for the exam? Hinata asked. With our skills, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. Hinata, Ino informed her team that Kusa was skilled in diplomacy, a trait they constantly used to read the movements of other countries and stay one step ahead of them. In addition, their ninja could also analyze techniques from other villages in a similar manner, making it hard to read a Kusa shinobi. Apparently the ass-kicking they got from the last wars put a damper on those traits if we can sense their movement. Or it could be a ruse, Hinata added. Maybe, but there's too much movement for it to be a ruse. Anko-sensei said that if you're gonna trick someone with bad stealth, have as few people as possible. I'm sensing too many, and Mom told me Kusa ninja were renowned for their stealth, Ino retorted. Look, I get it. Keep your guard up, but trust me, I know what I'm talking about. It was clear to both Hinata and Naruto that Ino was adamant on her stance. Then again, Ino had ancestry from Kusa, and it was evidently clear that she knew more than either one of them. They'd take her word for it, but guests or no, they weren't about to let their guard down in unknown territory. Alright, so what do you want to do first? Naruto asked. XXX note to self, keep mouth shut next time. Naruto felt like kicking his ass. His Niken by his side was napping soundly, while Naruto was left with the ordeal of waiting in the dressing area as Ino and Hinata tried on clothes. Opening the curtain to the dressing room she and Hinata were using, Ino asked, "What do you think?" Why is she even asking when she knows the answer? In Naruto's opinion, so long as the clothes were functional and comfy, he was good and set to go. The boy cared little for fashion trends. But even he knew not to voice his true opinion out loud. Looks nice, Ino. You're just saying that. No, I'm not, was the retort. Yeah, you are. You never looked up when I asked you, was Ino's counter. Groaning, Naruto looked up and gave Ino a good look over before he blushed and started to develop a nosebleed. Naruto? Ino was confused by the action. Certainly, the outfit she wore showed off her curves and a bit of bust, but not to the point that Naruto should have a reaction. Kia! Ino-chan. Ino heard Hinata scream behind her. It was only then that she realized that her fellow kunoichi was braless, and trying to cover up her impressive bust with her arms and nearby articles of clothing. Lucky, was the Yamanaka envious thought, before she swiftly closed the curtain. Most girls 4 years older weren't as big as Hinata's. Naruto, for his part, was still blushing. His initial reaction was to get up and leave, but the scene of a braless Hinata continued to play out in his mind and subsequently caused a certain part of him to become excited. Worth it. Eventually, it passed, and he informed his teammates he was going for a walk to clear his head and take in the sights. Partially due to some of the women in the store giving him dirty looks. Hadamaru joined his partner once roused from his nap. Luckily, the clothes store was near the marketplace that sold local food, tools, supplies, and even ninja gear. However, it became apparent that Naruto wasn't going to be spoiled for choice. Kusa's marketplace, while impressive, wasn't as vast as Konoha's. Except for the food and local plants being sold, much of the gear and weapons were the same at every stall. Nothing stands out, Naruto muttered, not impressed with the gear he saw. The food was good at least, but that was about it. Either the good stuff was only accessible to higher-ranked shinobi, or Ino was right about Kusa's current state. "Hey, what are you doing here?" a voice behind him asked. "Huh?" Naruto turned around and spotted a young dark-haired boy, followed by two others. Based on their height and lack of vests, Naruto was inclined to believe they genin. Quick use of his observe told him it was the case, and their levels weren't all that impressive. Their highest level is only 18, Naruto noticed. Despite being a shadow of its past glory, it was apparent the genin of the Konoha were still a cut above those from a minor village. "You heard me. What are you doing here?" the apparent genin demanded. "Taking in the sights. What's your problem, kid?" Naruto asked, though it only served to anger him. The boy made a movement that would have frightened other genin, but Naruto was unimpressed. The boy didn't get far either when Hato jumped in between him and the boy and started growling. "Hey! Take it somewhere else!" The genin heard a stall owner shout, others were muttering in agreement. Naruto sensed eyes on him and was under the impression others were waiting for him to cause a scene. "It's as if they want me kicked out of here," Naruto frowned. "Come on, Hato. We're leaving." "Hey! I'm not done with you," the genin tried once more, but Naruto ignored him and continued on his way. Not wanting to get involved any further, Naruto grabbed Hato and performed the shunshin to leave the area behind. Appearing on a rooftop some ways away, Naruto watched as the genin looking in every which direction before the lead cursed and stomped off. Naruto frowned. So far his impression of Kusa wasn't all that positive. "Nice job, kid," Naruto spun as at the suddenness of it all. Unlike the genin he had sensed, this one wasn't. Luckily, the origin of the sound was familiar. "Sannin?" The man grumbled, "What are you doing here? First off, stop calling me that. Second, doing some work for the old man," was the vague response. Naruto doubted the Sannin would elaborate if asked. "Saw what happened. You did good, kid. Better than what Kushina would have done. She'd have beaten them to a pulp." The veteran ninja was sugarcoating it really. The woman in question would have kicked their asses and not cared about the consequences. "Trust me, it crossed my mind," Naruto admitted. "Why'd he do that? Isn't Kusa an ally or something?" "Only in writing. Alliances between ninja villages aren't ironclad. They can be broken just as quickly, just they're made if an opportunity presents itself. Other ninja villages have used Kusa's land as the stage for their fights. The same with other minor villages, and quite a few hold the Great Five in contempt for it. I'm not surprised you don't know. Sarutobi told me what's going with the academy," Jiraiya informed his godson. "Anyway, try keeping a low profile and stay with your team. You saw for yourself Kusa's got some bad blood with outsider ninja. They'll try to start it, but you're a guest here and you'll end up taking the fall for making Konoha look bad." "Where are they anyway? Did they hit a growth spurt too?" "Yes, to the last one, and they're shopping for clothes. I got out when I could, went to see the sights, and tried to find some gear," Naruto informed him. "Gotcha," Jiraiya understood. "Good luck finding some decent gear though. Kusa's pretty basic ever since the Fuma clan fell into ruin." "Fuma clan?" "Kusa's founding clan. They were pretty famous back in the day for their shuriken jutsu and bukijutsu in general. Their leader during the twilight years of the Warring States was a pretty legendary ninja. He ranked as one of the top 10 most powerful ninja in history. His clan began falling on hard times when he perished during the First War. The few remaining clan members left for the land of rice fields a couple of decades ago, but they became nothing more than bandits and thugs for hire. Basically, they're a pathetic shell of their former glory. The man had encountered a few of them in his youth before he fought Hanzo, and members of the clan weren't to gawk at. Now, having encountered the few remaining members not that long ago, they were a mockery of what they used to be. "So the Fuma clan were the ones that made the good stuff here, huh?" Jiraiya nodded. Pretty much. The only ones who have access to what's left are the Jonin, and those who know where to find them. He grinned as he presented Naruto with a wicked set of shuriken. Fuma Clan 5-star Fuma Shuriken, rare quality weapon type, range, slashing attack power, 39 to 45 durability, 70/70th description, a shuriken made by the once famous Fuma clan of Kusagakure, known for the mastery of ninja tools and shuriken jutsu. Unlike ordinary shuriken and so-called Fuma shuriken, the Fuma clan fabricate 5 or tri-star shurikens out of chakra-conducting metal instead of the common 4-star one made of iron. Despite its composition being mostly chakra metal, the Fuma clan's secret forging technique allowed them to make their shuriken lightweight but incredibly durable. In addition, the reach and deadliness of the shuriken's blades is greatly enhanced with chakra, especially wind chakra. Requirements: Basic shuriken jutsu and kunai skill mastery bonus stats, plus 55% chance to cause severe bleeding status effect, plus 35% chance to cause sever status effect. Chakra flow skill effectiveness and power increased by 25%, Futon chakra flow skill effectiveness and power increased by 50%. Special trait, summoning seal. Whoa. Naruto would wholeheartedly admit this was a high-quality shuriken. The ones he currently had on hand sucked by comparison. Pretty neat, huh? Wasn't exactly easy to get, and apparently these aren't the best stuff either, Jiraiya admitted. If this isn't their best stuff, it makes you wonder, Naruto said. The shuriken was lightweight just like the description said they'd be. Naruto knew just by holding them that they were much lighter than his ordinary Fuma shuriken. Glad you like 'em, kid? They're yours, Jiraiya smirked at his stunned look. Shuriken jutsu isn't really my style. Besides, you're a weapon user and you have a wind affinity. It'll suit you more than me. Here, I put a summon seal on them. Place this seal on your gauntlets, and it'll let you summon them back. Sweet. Naruto couldn't believe his luck, the boy proceeding to do just that with his gauntlets. Arf. Huh. Jiraiya looked down at the tail-wagging Niken who was looking directly at him. Oh. Sorry, Pooch. I got nothing for ya. Hato's response was to whine. Quit whining, Hato. We'll stop and get you a T-bone or something, Naruto told him, bringing the Niken out of its funk. Speaking of which, Naruto realized he had never tried ramen outside of Ichiraku ramen. See ya later, Sannin. Come on, Hato! Damn it, Gaki! Jiraiya was tempted to give chase and teach him a lesson. However, the man had work to do before the ambush took place. If all went well, Konoha would have 2 Uzumaki instead of 1. And hopeful a reborn Uzumaki clan, too. Jiraiya remembered it as though it was yesterday when Kushina told him and Minato her dream, other than becoming the first female Hokage, that is. Deep down, Jiraiya suspected Kushina knew she didn't have the right qualifications for becoming Hokage. She was a talented and highly capable kunoichi, but she wasn't Kage-level material. No. This dream was something else. Something grandeur, as Kushina put it, the rebirth of her clan. It was one of the reasons why Minato was fine with Kushina keeping her maiden name instead of taking his. Unfortunately, that dream was put on hold with her and Minato's untimely demise. Now it was up to Naruto to accomplish his mother's dream. XXX, the next day, today's the day. You guys ready? Anko asked her team, who were gearing up and preparing for anything. Ready as we'll ever be, Naruto said, sharpening his newly acquired shuriken with the whetstone Hate had given him. After spending a couple of hours trying to find a decent ramen stand, something Naruto believed Kusa sorely lacked, the boy and his Niken made their way to the hotel they'd be staying in. It was apparent that despite their supposed skill in diplomacy, much of Kusa's inhabitants didn't care for outside ninja. More than once he was almost goading into a fight or given the cold shoulder. The latter one stung a bit more giving his background. But that wasn't what made Naruto dislike Kusa. What pissed him off was Kusa using one of his clansmen like a disposable med pack. Anko explained her reason for not informing them earlier as a need-to-know basis, and because she didn't want Kusa becoming suspicious. Ninja were good actors, but apparently, Kusa still had a few decent ninja that could pick up on their behavior, despite their decline in quality. At least now their attitudes would be chalked up as a result of the lackluster welcoming they were given. Still can't believe you're from a clan, Naruto, Ino said. Tell me about it. Naruto had only just found out a little over a month ago and still couldn't believe it. While he wasn't allowed to tell anyone until he passed the exam, given the current circumstance, Anko was authorized by the Hokage to inform Ino and Hinata, but just the bare minimum. Both had reacted differently to the knowledge. Ino initially believed Anko was pulling a prank and Naruto was in on it before she realized both were being serious. Hinata, on the other hand, had given Naruto a hug and said she was happy for him to have found family, no matter how distant they might be. I still can't believe they're doing that to her, Ino said. I can, Hinata thought. The Hyuga heiress counted her blessings that her kidnapping ended in failure. What was happening to Naruto's kin could easily have been happening to her. Anko wouldn't tell them her name since they'd be introduced in just a bit, and because they didn't want to alert the Jonin. All they did know was that she had red hair, and that once they reached the ambush site it was up to the genin of Team 8 to get her to Konoha as quickly as possible, while the Anko, Jiraiya and the Anbu held them off. Knowing what she did, Anko wouldn't put it past Kusa for sending another team to keep an eye on the girl. She wouldn't be surprised if the Sandaime also suspected the same thing. No matter what happens, you guys are only to engage if absolutely necessary. Your job is getting her to Konoha and leave the fighting to us. Got it. Got it. The three chorused. Arf. Anko nodded. The woman knew her team could handle themselves, but that wasn't the purpose of the mission. Naruto, think you can use that fast travel thing of yours? So long as we're far away from the fight and we're not in combat ourselves, definitely, he told her. The option certainly made things easier for them, though other would wonder why they were back so soon. Good. The moment you guys see your chance, take it and run like hell. The sooner you're back in Konoha, the better. With that said and done, Team 8 geared up, put away their tools, left the room and began to make their way down to the village entrance. XXX, you gotta be kidding me, Naruto really hated his luck at times. Naruto watched as a group of Kusa genin and Jonin make their way towards them. Within them, Naruto saw the same little shit that tried goading him into a fight. What's up with you? Ino asked. Remember the prick I met yesterday? Ino nodded, vaguely remembering the conversation. Well, there he is. Grr, Hato growled as the dark-haired boy neared their location. Naruto-kun, we can't be causing a scene, remember? Hinata told him. Naruto's frown remained but he nodded. Which was ironic considering what they'd do to the Kusa team in a couple of days. As the teams arrived, Anko left to meet with the Kusa Jonin, while their genin made their way towards them. Sure enough, however, trouble began. Hey! What are you doing here? Oh, for the love of, Naruto thought, not 5 seconds and already it started. Do you know any other words, kid? What's it look like I'm doing? We're your escorts. The boy scowled but shifted his gaze to look at them all. Aren't Chunin supposed to escort us? You don't look like much in my opinion. Looks like the rumors were true. A Kusa genin with dirty blonde hair spoke. Konoha's quality has gone if they're forced to send genin. Oh, you little motherfucker. Ino was sorely tempted to kick the boy's nuts until nothing but paste remained. However, Ino also knew it was potentially a tactic to get her team mad and to start saying things Kusa could us. The Yamanaka was still pissed, but decided to go about a more tactical route, and here I thought Kusa was known their information-gathering skills. Ever think the Hokage might have sent us because we're just as skilled as a Chunin? Before they had time to respond, Ino continued, I didn't think so. No wonder my grandparents left this dump if this is all ninja amount to. Kusa's a great village. Oh yeah, it is. Probably explains why your founding clan left you. Naruto smirked as the rage bubbled forth their eyes. Alright, break it up. You'll have plenty of time to make friends during the exams, Anko cut it. Now I expect you all to keep up and be civil with one another. You're ninja. Not a bunch of wet behind the ears academy students with temper tantrums. They started it. Both sides thought. Take this opportunity as a lesson, brats. There will be times where you're expected to guard or escort someone and chances are they won't be the easiest of people to get along with. Believe me, I've guarded quite a number of people that pissed me off so much I was tempted to chop them into little pieces and blame it on missing ninja. Would have been easy to do it, too, with no witnesses. A few well-placed snakes, a few exploding traps, sneaking into their bed at night and slicing their throats. Naruto, Hado, and Ino were loving the expression the Kusa and Jonin displayed. Even Hinata had to force back a small giggle. Hell! I could have gutted them like fish in broad daylight, and used their insides like Christmas ornaments. But that would be wrong, and we're professional ninja of Konoha. No matter how much they deserve it, she ended her speech with a smile. Right. Forward and onward, kiddies. Naruto merely looked back at the stunned group of genin and with a smirk, well, you heard her, the boy said before moving on with his team. Leaving behind a stunned group of Kusa ninja. XXX the next few days that followed were relatively peaceful. Relatively being the key word. Once the Kusa ninja got over their fear did their genin begin to insult their Konoha entourage. While it wasn't as intense or as direct as before, it was evident whom they were speaking about. More than once did Naruto wish to turn them a new asshole, while Ino wanted to liquefy their brains and feed them to the zombies. Anko was tempted to feed them to Midori. Hinata was the more dignified of the group, but her team knew her well enough that was far from pleased. Hinata's proficiency over her Juken now allowed her to cause continuous and painful spasms to occur in one's body. If used, it was a sensation the Kusa genin wouldn't forget any time soon. If I can land at least one blow on that asshole before we leave would be good enough for me. It wouldn't be a love tap either. Naruto would hit him so hard he'd be seeing starts for months. However, the boy knew he needed to focus. They were only a few miles from the ambush site. Hopefully, the few of the 12 genin that hadn't said anything about Konoha would be relatively unharmed. Karen, however, hadn't been one of those that didn't say anything. Though nowhere as bad as her fellow ninja, the Uzumaki girl had either taken to agreeing with her teammates, or staying quiet altogether. Having been in similar shoes, Naruto knew it was a self-defense mechanism. The girl said things to appease her teammates, or said nothing to anger them. She was seeking approval, though if it wasn't the good kind, even if her opinion might contradict what they said, the girl went along with it. Hold it! Anko suddenly declared to the group. Out from the woods, the bushes rustled and cracked before they saw a large green constrictor appear before them. Midori, what's up? Ninja are up ahead. I believe they may be IWA shinobi, the serpent hissed, the genin tensed. IWA wouldn't be foolish enough to do such a thing, one of the Kusa genin declared. Trust me, kid. Ever since the Yondaime wiped the floor with them in the last war, IWA hasn't exactly been all that cozy. I wouldn't put it past them to pull this shit and claim the ninja as missing ninja to cover their asses. The woman spoke truthfully on that former regard, the latter only being a half-truth. The IWA ninja up ahead were, in fact, Konoha Anbu in disguise. Phase 1 of the plan had begun. Now it was on to Phase 2, Midori. Think we can take M without casualties? The serpent shook her head negatively. Based on the chakra I sensed from them, it would be too risky. I scouted ahead, and the alternate route is safe, for now at least. Yeah, but how long till they figure out we noticed him? Anko frowned. Alright, here's the plan. I'm gonna need one of you to come with me to take care of him. IWA ninja are known for their quantity, not quality. Wouldn't put it past them if they had backup forces somewhere, so we need to buy him some time. The rest of you hightail it to the border. The new path will take longer to reach the border, but it's the safest route at the moment. Get to the border as quick as you can. Even IWA isn't stupid enough to follow you once you're over. The Kusa jonin knew her reasoning was sound. Despite being one of the Great Five, bear the exceptions, IWA produced more quantity than quality ninja. But it was enough to mark them as one of the Great Five despite their fighting method during the last wars. It was more or less brawn over brain, overpowering their foes with hard hits, damaged terrain, and exceptionally large numbers than with true tactical proficiency. Why just one? Asked Karen. Less chance of us getting caught when we sneak up on M. We'll draw their attention and have M chase us long and far enough for you to get to the border before we make our own escape. Konoha's responsible for your safety so long as you're part of the exam, Anko informed them before she looked at Naruto. Naruto, once we head out, you'll be in charge of leading M out of here. Him, was the annoyed Kusa genin's reply. Shut it, piss stain. When I'm not around, Naruto's in charge. He'll lead you to the border. But if you want to bitch about it, then by all means leave and go get yourself killed. Konoha won't be held responsible just because you didn't want to listen, the woman snapped. Just as the boy looked like he was about to retort, he kept his mouth shut when his instructor sent him a harsh glare. With that matter taken care of, Anko and one of the Kusa Jonin split off while Naruto led the group down the other path. The group waited before they were out of sight before they began running like bats out of hell. 5 minutes later the group began to hear the sounds of explosions in the distance, and saw birds flying away from the area and dust clouds form. Sounds like Sensei's traps are going off, Naruto commented, another explosion sounding off soon after. How do you know? One of the Jonin asked. Let's just say we've been real intimate with her traps and leave it at that, Ino deadpanned. The rest of her team having similar looks as they recalled the memories. As they continued to run to the border and closer to the ambush site, one of the Jonin ordered Karen. Scan ahead. Huh, was all Naruto said, and not liking where this was going. Karen's got a technique that lets her scan an area miles away, one of the Genin commented. But I, do it, the Jonin ordered, his tone having more bite to it. Nodding fearfully, Karen closed her eyes and began to concentrate on her task. Oh fuck. Not good, Naruto knew that while the Umbu with Anko as in disguise, the ones on the ambush site weren't. The boy shared a look with his team and all three knew they'd have no choice but to improvise. The Genin were one thing, the Jonin would be harder, and together it was not going to be an easy fight. Just as they were about to take action, Karen suddenly commented, "There's fighting up ahead." What? The entire group shouted, just as an explosion of dirt and dust occurred not 10 feet away from them. A harsh growl-like sound was soon heard and everyone watched as creature appeared before them. Its face resembled that of a wolf, but that was where the similarities ended. The rest of its body was electric blue. Gold horns adorned its head and spike-like plates ran down its back, ending in a long, flat tail. Its arms were muscular, and its front paws had wickedly large claws, sharp enough to slice a tree with minimal effort. The beast's size was twice if not 3 times as large as Hato in his mature form. Aru! The beast howled before it pounced on them with frightening speed. Its paw crashing down onto the earth, cracks forming as the raw strength behind the blow caused the ground to buckle and cave in under the pressure. One Jonin attempted to sneak up behind it, but in a display one wouldn't believe possible for a creature this size, it swiftly back-flipped and smacked the unprepared Kusa Jonin. The force behind the blow sent him skidding dozens of meters away before his body crashed into a boulder, developing a noticeable dent in the process. Januga! Grab the red head! A voice rang in the clearing. Landing some feet away from them, Mako then dashed and delivered a harsh punch to a Kusa Jonin's face. But the splintered remains of a log replaced the body, and the girl was forced to dodge a hail of shuriken that struck the ground she once occupied. Ino noticed a small haze of purple rising up from them. Landing in the group of surprised Kusa ninja was Shaku, the woman's unexpectedly tall stature further surprising the group. But the woman used it to her advantage and proceeded to strike ninja, Genin, and Jonin alike. The Genin near her were taken out of commission non-lethally. Despite how they treated her kin, Shaku shared Asugeo's stance on not killing children. But it didn't mean she wouldn't beat the living daylights out of them if they got in her way. Away from her, crimson chains began to circle around the battlefield, snaring anyone that was caught and draining them of energy, or stabbing forward like unforgiving spears, pinning them to the ground or nearby object. Other beasts like the blue wolf, though smaller and much more wolf-like, and possessing a dirty orange or dirty gray mane, began to appear on the battlefield as well. The new creatures' roars created oppressing cyclones that sent those unfortunate to be caught in them soaring through the air. As this was happening, Naruto frowned in contemplation. Wait a minute. Red hair, a lot of chakra? He thought before it finally hit him. Holy shit. They're Uzumaki. What? He heard Karen shout in disbelief. Wait a sec. How do you know about that? Fuck it. This was definitely not part of the plan. Naruto knew one of the attacking kunoichi was Asagao, unless there were others with crimson chains. The other 2 ninja were unknown, but their red hair made him believe they were Uzumaki. But lost kin or no, the Uzumaki members were launching attacks on the Konoha Umbu. The ambush was now a bust and Naruto knew they needed to get the hell out of here. But first thing was first. Whirling about, Naruto drew out a makeshift staff from his time in the dungeon and swung it horizontally. The axe sent the unprepared Kusa genin skidding, giving him a beeline to his target. "Hey! What the hell are you?" Hosting his lost and confused kin over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes, Naruto shouted, "Sorry." No time to explain. Before sprinting off like mad, his teammates and Niken following after him. "Put me down, asshole!" The girl continued shouting, pounding her fists on his back. Despite her lack of combat experience, Naruto had to admit her blows packed a decent wallop. Must be an Uzumaki female TOW. Okay, that hurt. Stop them! The group heard a Kusa Jonin shout to his genin. With Karen in his arms, Naruto opted to conjure up a dozen shadow clones to deal with them instead. The unexpected maneuver caught them off guard, and Naruto watched on in satisfaction as one of his clones struck the asshole Kusa genin in the face. "Plenty more where that came from, asshole!" he heard his clone shout. But some of the genin managed to pass his clones due to the attacking beasts. The genin's efforts, however, were futile. A cloud of smoke soon blanketed the area in front of them, courtesy of Ino. The moment the Kusa genin made their inside was it all over. Within seconds they were out, but their movements were noticeably sluggish and incredibly uncoordinated. Soon they unceremoniously fell to the ground like cut trees. That cloud was mixed with a heavy dose of sleeping powder, Ino told her team. "It's fast acting, but the effects will wear off in 10 minutes, give or take. Sorry about this, cuz." "Book it then, people." Naruto ordered his group, all 4 of them picking up a noticeable amount of speed, and the movement of it all making it too difficult for Karen to continue pounding her fist, forcing her to hold on to his clothing instead. "Cuz?" Karen thought. "Stop. Don't let." The Jonin never finished as he felt the cold, unforgiving steel of a sword at his throat. "I'd stay still if I were you." Twitchy hands and all, the Nico Mastambu stated. The Kusa Jonin gulped in retaliation but knew he couldn't surrender and go back without the girl. What happened to her during the exam was of little consequence. Outside of that, Karen was his responsibility. The village council made themselves quite clear on the matter, and he knew he couldn't back down without a fight. "XXX, where is she?" the hologram asked Asagao. The woman was a good distance away from the actual battlefield but had a bird's eye view as she launched her attacks from the safety of her post. Asagao frowned for a second before responding, "She's being taken away from the battle. The Uzumaki boy has her." "The one from Konoha?" Asagao nodded and frowned. Getting Karen out of Konoha would be extremely difficult thanks to their security measures that were put in place by her clan's forefathers. "My chains are out of reach. But I have a trap in place. If I activate it now, the explosion will only—" "No!" the hologram bellowed and rippled. "The risk is too great. I will not lose what kin we have left. Concentrate on the battle. Have Mako and Januga intercept them. Make sure they aren't killed. Kill the rest. Hi, Anoka-sama. XXX, so long story short, I'm an Uzumaki, too," Naruto finished. Karen looked skeptical as she looked at the blonde's hair. Naruto's chakra was similar to her own, but that was about it. Then again, Karen was a full-blooded Uzumaki, so the red hair was pretty much assured. Half-blooded Uzumaki would give or take. Naruto wasn't surprised that she didn't instantly believe him, and tried another approach. "Look, this is a scroll that Gigi said used to belong to my mom. Apparently, she was kinda anal about her stuff, so she put in blood seals. Only someone with Uzumaki blood could unlock it." Cutting his finger, Naruto proceeded to spread the blood onto the seal, which allowed it to open. Naruto repeated the procedure to lock it back up and then handed over to Karen. The girl frowned but knew the boy wasn't lying. Except for the basics, Karen didn't know how to perform seals due to lack of instruction. Her skill was more into sensory and healing. However, her mother did teach her a few things regarding her Uzumaki heritage. "This is the same seal Mom showed me," Karen recalled. The lines, the characters, everything down to the very last detail were perfectly alike. Cutting her finger, Karen performed the same action as Naruto and watched as the seal glowed and become unlocked. "Okay, you've convinced me," Naruto smiled. He knew that he had a while to completely earn her trust, but it was a start in the right direction. So what's the plan? Bringing you to Konoha. I think Chiji will want to meet you, Naruto said. Chiji? Another Uzumaki, Karen believed. He means Hokage-sama, Ino told her. Naruto-kun and Sannin-sama are very close. He sees him as his grandfather ever since he was little, Hinata spoke. Okay, sure. Who are you? Karen asked, unfamiliar with the group despite traveling with them for the last couple of days. Right, sorry. We've never been properly introduced. Hyuga Hinata, pleasure to meet your acquaintances, Karen-chan, Hinata greeted. Yamanaka Ino, nice to meet you, Ino introduced. You've already met Naruto. Yo! Naruto saluted, and this mutt here is Hatomaru. My Niken and partner in crime. Arf. Hato barked and began to sniff and circle the female Uzumaki. Hello? Uzumaki Karen, was all and slightly uncomfortable. Karen could say, hey, you mind giving me a little space there? Back up, Hato. Sorry about him. He can't help himself at times. The group's discussion is cut off as an explosion was heard. Mina, that sounded very close, Hinata told the group, and a quick area scan via her clan's eyes told her their foes were making their way towards them. They're headed this way. We need to get going before they catch up. Don't have to tell me twice. No way in hell was Karen going back to Kusa. While the fighting Uzumaki were an option, Karen didn't like the feel of the chakras she sensed. While she couldn't sense them, she still felt the chakra signature of the one that was controlling those beasts. It wasn't a pleasant one. Naruto, can we use it now? Ino asked, but got a negative in response. We have to wait a while and we need to be further away from the fight before we can, the boy told her. Let's pick up the pace then, people. With that said and done, the group's speed increased by a considerable amount. Though Karen's VIT and CP were very high for a non-combatant, her DX was considerably much lower than Team 8, forcing her to ride on Hato's back as the group ran for the border. While en route, one Kunoichi couldn't help herself. Quick question, Ino chirped in, what's with all the women? I mean, so far the only male Uzumaki I've seen is Naruto. While it wasn't the best time, Naruto was also curious about that. From her place on Hato's back, Karen merely shrugged, but answered nonetheless, weird genetics. Mom said that aside us having a lot of chakra, Uzumaki give birth to daughters 4 times out of 6. Uzumaki who marry outside the clan are essential like the rest of the world, but the odds of having more daughters than sons is still fairly high. So if I were to have a kid, something Naruto had no intention of having soon, it would be a girl? You're half Uzumaki so I wouldn't know, really, here she smirked, but if I was the mother it'd likely be a girl. Naruto blinked the implications before he turned green and nearly stumbled on his run. Thanks but no thanks. For all I know, you could be my cousin or something. While not to the same extent as Naruto, Karen's smirk disappeared as she, too, turned a bit green. First cousins, doubtful. Mom and Dad were an only child, but it didn't mean they weren't second or third cousins. Which wasn't an appealing thought in her opinion. But if you were to have kids with Hinata or Ino, was it? Chances of your firstborn being a girl are pretty high. Both sides of the family play a role, really. A child with Naruto-kun. The thought sent images into the Hyuga's mind, along with others that made her go scarlet. Luckily, the girl didn't faint but her face stayed crimson. So, possible incest relationship, and Hinata and I being Naruto's future baby mama aside, what now? Ino asked. I get why Hokage-sama had us rescue you, but that can't be the only reason. Naruto was tempted to lash out for that train of thought, but the blonde Uzumaki had to acknowledge Ino's reasoning. Hinata, it seemed, despite the remaining signs of her blush, had come up with one of her own. Ano, I can't be certain, but I think Hokage-sama wants to restart the Uzumaki clan, Hinata interjected and felt all eyes won her. I mean, Naruto-kun is the only male and Karen-chan is a female Uzumaki. What's that got to do with it? Naruto prayed this wasn't going to go in a direction he didn't like. Ino was tempted to pull a joke but decided against it. Ever heard of the LPA? Ino wasn't surprised when he bore a confused look, never mind. It stands for Lineage Protection Act. I think they used to call it the Clan Restoration Act back in the day. Anyway, It came into being during the early years of the founding era when a lot of clans went extinct or pretty close to it. A few years after the era of warring states came to an end, the daimyos made future polygamy marriages illegal. However, in the case of the LPA, the daimyos of the Great Five passed a law saying a clan was allowed to practice polygamous marriages if they fit certain criteria and was approved by the daimyo of their country. So what, multiple wives? Naruto asked. Technically it was one wife while the ones afterwards were considered mistresses or concubines, Naruto-kun. During the era of warring states, clan heads and their heirs generally had 2 or 3 wives. When that era came to an end, the only ones that were allowed to practice this was the daimyo. While polygamous relations were acceptable, only the daimyo were allowed to marry multiple women. The firstborn of the head wife, even if he had already had other children, was considered the clan heir. Hinata recalled the lesson. The Lineage Protection Act, however, allows a man whose lineage would enhance the military might and influence of his daimyo's country. Usually, he would only be allowed to marry no more than 3 or 4 women, and a man was considered lucky to be granted even that many, Hinata added. Lucky? Having 2 wives was considered lucky in Naruto's opinion. The common number is 2. The daimyo determines the amount based on how important and influential the new clan will be to his country in the long run and by how strong the candidate for the LPA is. Well, that and because the daimyo believe only they have the right to marry multiple women. If Ino recalled correctly, the current daimyo of Hai no Kuni had 1 wife, Madame Shirjimi, and 4 or 5 mistresses. The number of concubines he had was considered relatively small compared to other daimyo. As much as I'd like to see my clan up and running again, that doesn't really sound like something I want to be a part of. If I marry someone, I don't want my other wives feeling like they're second fiddles just because I didn't marry them first. On the off chance it did happen, Naruto would be treating them equally, and he'd expect the same from his first wife. None of that cliché superiority shit he saw in video games where jealous or scorned concubines vindicatively plotted for the seat of head wife. Usually because they were treated like crap compared to the other higher-ranking concubines. Naruto didn't doubt such a thing was based on real life, and he had no intention of going through that emotional roller coaster. Well, you're in luck then, Ino cut in Hai no Kuni. Women who enter a polygamous marriage generally have equal standing no matter what clan or where they came from or what order they married in. Didn't you just say, the daimyo are the ones that still follow the ranking system when it comes to their wives and heirs? Those who start a clan or repopulate one can do the same, but it's not written in stone or mandatory of them, Ino elaborated. Hell, they don't have to participate in the LPA if they don't want to. Fucking complicated, Naruto muttered. The boy wasn't exactly one to follow the norm or rules in general. Hey, wait. Doesn't that mean Sasuke falls into this? He's the last of his clan, so yeah, the girl nodded. Though with how he acted, Ino had doubts it would be any time soon. It was funny how she used to think of him in an infatuated manner like the other fangirls. Anko merely or less bludgeoned that side of her to death. Sasuke? As in Uchiha Sasuke? Karen earned herself some looks. What? I'm not a fighter, but I lived in Ninja Village nonetheless. The Uchiha incident isn't exactly something new, and Sasuke isn't a very common name either. Unless you live under a rock, or you're as dumb as one, pretty much everyone's heard of it. By the way, is he cute? What the hell? The team's got fangirls who barely know him in other villages. Naruto didn't know whether to be jealous or feel sorry for the Uchiha. Ignoring the thought, Naruto glanced up and saw that they were officially out of combat. Okay, let's get. Naruto's sentence came to a halt as he noticed Hato was standing still and his fur on edge. On his back, Naruto saw Karen shaking like a leaf. Yo! You okay? This chakra, it's so dark, the group heard her mutter fearfully. Beneath her, they saw Hatomaru baring his fangs, his form tense. Oh, that ain't good. Whoever was causing this was either far enough for only Karen and Hato to sense them, or their stealth was beyond Team 8's sensory abilities. Judging by Karen and Hato's reactions, Naruto was inclined to believe this wasn't going to be an ordinary or easy encounter either. Warning! Warning! A powerful presence has entered the area. For fuck's sakes! Heads up! Someone or something is here! Naruto barked out, the other genin tensing up as they heard this. The boy cursed. He was going to be unable to use the fast travel option as a result. Well, 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 a voice that resonated all around them echoed. For someone your age to sense me, I'm impressed. Your teacher taught you well. Hinata, where are they? Naruto asked, but the girl shook her head. I can't pinpoint their location. Somehow they're tricking my Byakugan. All I see are traces of very large amounts of foul chakra, she shuddered. Naruto didn't like their current situation. It was clear whoever they were was after Karen, and they were toying with Naruto and his team for fun. This was a situation Anko warned them about. This was a situation where the odds were stacked against you. A situation where your odds of winning were low and the best you could hope for was to hold off until reinforcements arrived, pray for a quick death, or go down swinging. But enough. As entertaining as this is, I've got other things to do. So give me the girl, and I'll let you go. Try my patience, and you'll wish for death after I'm done with you. The moment he finished was the area flooded by a sudden burst of powerful killing intent. Thanks to his gamer's mind, Naruto remained unaffected. The same couldn't be said for the rest of his team. The hell, I'm dying here, god damn it! Naruto declared before he concentrated deeply, reaching into himself until he found what he was looking for, a pocket of chakra more potent than his own. Flashback. Primordial Dungeon, Gah! Naruto shouted in pain, despite his crossed arms reducing the amount of damage, as he was launched into the air and made harsh contact with one of the mighty trees. Naruto-kun! Hinata shouted in worry but remained where she was. The girl couldn't allow Ino and Hato to face the foe by themselves. Fucking bear! Ino grunted, performing a backflip soon after when the Bear King Aoshira crashed its massive paw down onto the earth. At their current level, the group had made it a point not to face certain bosses in the dungeon, Aoshira being none of them. Unfortunately, the beast had been at the wrong place at the wrong time and was struck by a stray missile. The act angered the beast, and when the use of meat didn't appease it, did they know they were in trouble. Ino and Hinata's fatigue levels were high and the two were nearing total exhaustion. Running away wasn't an option, and they were forced to fight. But neither would be able to land any type of significant blow on the beast as a result. The two would provide cover fire while Hato protected them, but Naruto was left to fight the beast himself. For a while, the hit-and-run pattern seemed to war. But the beast deserved the title of Bear King when it began changing tactics and attacking more ferociously. The fight was incredibly one-sided for the Konoha ninja. A few decent blows were landed, but the beast had plenty of health left, and wouldn't go down anytime soon, unfortunately. Damn it, Naruto coughed up, air coming back into his body and the dazed status effect coming to an end. Naruto watched his teammates dodge, duck and leap away from the giant bear's massive wicked claws. A direct hit would seriously damage them if they weren't careful. Naruto and Hato would be able to shrug off a couple of blows, but Ino and Hinata weren't as sturdy as the two. Without full access to their chakra, and with his current levels too low for Naruto to use his spiraling Phoenix Flame skill, it didn't look good. Even though Naruto's strength was the greatest of the group, the bear's large girth and thick hide made him very resistant to physical blows. My hits aren't cutting it. It was quite clear that Naruto wasn't performing the damage he should be, even with his makeshift club tools and iron-forged kunai. Though, the latter was now fairly dull to repetitive use. For the first time in a long while, Naruto didn't know what to do. Pathetic runt, the boy heard an ancient and dark voice growl within him. What? Who's there? Naruto shouted. To think this is how it would end. Unacceptable. It suddenly boomed. Naruto winced as a result. You represent me. You've survived because of me. What happens to them, I could care less. But I will not stand and watch this unfold any longer. Naruto didn't know what was happening, but the following moment would forever be ingrained in his mind. A pulse was felt deep inside him. It began small, like water gently simmering in a pot before it quickly turned into full-on boil. Then came the explosion. Some feet away, Hinata successfully managed to strike the bear in the eye. The action made it miss a tripped-up Ino, but the missed blows still sent the blonde flying through the air nonetheless. Ino, cursing like no tomorrow, attempted to right herself, but her exhaustion made her landing less than graceful. Oh. Fuck. Son of cock. She cursed, taking out a large shard of rock that impeded itself into her leg. Appearing by her side, Hinata knew that the situation had taken a turn for the worst. Both were exhausted, their chakra practically gone, and they were running on fumes and sheer willpower. Ino's damaged leg would now prevent her from dodging the bear's strikes. Ino, we need to use. Hinata never finished as she felt the raising power that flooded the area. It was powerful, but also dark as if it was the very essence of hatred itself. And it came from the one she held affections for, Naruto-kun? Wa, was all Ino could say. The two confused kunoichi watched as a reddish hue encompassed their teammates' form just before a pillar of dark crimson shot up and darkened the area. His whisker marks became pronounced, his nails lengthened into claws, and his eyes became slitted as the chakra deep within him came out of his body, followed by a roar that cracked the earth and made the wind push outwards. Flashback and initial Jinchuriki form activated. She's family. You're gonna have to go through me first, ass wipe. The boy bellowed. The chakra flared, dissipating the oppressive one and making the nearby trees sway as well as scattered dust and leaves too. But all they got in return was the following reply. How interesting. The voice rang, sounding almost gleeful. I guess I can spare 5 minutes. With that, the origin of the voice made themselves known. Only, upon seeing the individual, did Team 8 realize just how deep in the shit they really were. Oh no. Ah shit. Naruto really hated his luck at times. Are you fucking kidding me? Ino shouted, looking towards the heavens as she did, seriously. On our first mission back? Cut us a break, god damn it. The individual merely chuckled. I'm glad to see Anko's been influencing the next generation. The next generation of ninja isn't what it used to be. Show me. Show me if my students are a cut above the rest. Quest alert. Do or die. Main quest. Must last at least 5 minutes against Orochimaru. Secondary quest. Last longer than 5 minutes against Orochimaru. Main quest completion. Plus 5000 EXP. Plus 500 rep with Konoha. Plus 500 with Karen. Secondary quest completion. Plus 500 EXP and plus 100 rep to Konoha per additional minute. Failure. 1100. Loss of Karen. Minus 1000 rep with Uzumaki clan. Minus 500 rep with Konoha. Potential death. Potential death of teammate except, yes/no warning, quest refusal will have consequences. And with that, Orochimaru launched himself at Team 8. Chapter 29, Home, Sweet Home? Countdown, 5 o'clock, Team 8 and Karen scattered as Orochimaru appeared within their midst. The man's speed was something they hadn't quite seen before. One moment he was across from them, and then next he was within their midst. Lucky for them, the man did nothing but laugh as they scampered away from the S-rank missing ninja. Fast, was the general thought of the group. Ino, Naruto, and Hinata had already experienced Anko's top speed, before and after she activated the seal, and it was nothing to be taken lightly. This, however, was on an entirely different level. This was the speed of an experienced Kage-level individual. This was speed that could kill someone before they finished blinking. Anko-sensei said he was fast. But this is nuts. Ino recalled Anko telling the Yamanaka heiress that before the Yondaime came along, Orochimaru was regarded as the quickest shinobi in the village, second to only the Sandaime at the time. You're boring me, Orochimaru taunted them. Naruto scowled before he rushed the man with his kanabo and uchigatana. Orochimaru quirked an eyebrow at the odd combination of weapons. It was certainly unique, but that was about it. Futon, Daitapa, wind release, great breakthrough. Orochimaru lazily bellowed out a harsh tunnel of wind, greater than Naruto's own Daitapa, at the charging blonde. Naruto in turn retaliated with a wind technique of his own, Futon, Shishizenku, wind release, lion's battle roar. The two techniques hit each other head-on, and caused an explosion of wind in the process that scattered dust and made the nearby trees groan in protest. While Naruto's technique was a B-rank 1, Orochimaru's mastery of the lower-rank Daitapa had enough power to match it. However, if the rogue ninja and traitorous member of the Sannin was impressed by the act, especially due to the lack of hand seals, he didn't show it. Nor did he show concern or surprise when Naruto performed a swift Shinigami Kajikoku on the man's exposed back. The technique struck true, but the man's form turned brown before it fell apart into a pile of mud. Sannin Jashu, hidden shadow snake hands, was heard before 5 snakes quickly wrapped themselves around the blonde, followed up with precise bites that caused the boy to disappear. Countdown, 439, nice try. The original Naruto appeared at a safe distance. Anko sensei's used that so much it isn't funny, he smirked. Yes, well, Anko was a disappointment in that regard, Orochimaru pointed out with a shrug. Unlike him, Anko had a tendency to stick to certain techniques rather than broaden her repertoire. She knew more than most, but not by much. The man didn't know if it was no longer the case, however. Anko sensei's a great teacher. Unlike you, asshole! Ino shouted before she unleashed a floor of impressive kicks and acrobatics at the man. If the man was ever encountered, Ino recalled Anko telling them that poison ninjutsu would be useless against him. Like the snake mistress, Orochimaru developed an immunity to a vast amount of them. Kicks, really? The man was unimpressed. Though he had to admit she was quite limber and swift, and if the air current he felt was anything to go by, they were quite strong, too. Well, there's no way I'm entering that fucked up mind of yours. She shouted and continued her assault with a drop kick imbued with lightning. Clever girl, it was clear that she took after Orochimaru's student more so than the other two, both in mannerisms and wit. Then let's see you dodge this. Sangaja, scatter fang snake. From both of his sleeves came a myriad of serpents. But unlike the Sannin Jashu that traveled in a linear manner, the serpents of this technique rushed at the genin in an unpredictable zigzag-like pattern instead. The speed of the technique was also much quicker too. Shit! Right-un, Fuchimyaku no Justu, lightning release, dissonance pulse technique. Ino called out her technique, arms stretched out as the circular pulse stopped one wave of the snakes in their tracks, leaving her wide open for the other before and too late to react. Ino felt the serpents coil and wrap themselves around her like a terrible vice, binding her arms and legs, cutting off the oxygen simple from her throat. The Yamanaka knew quite a bit of contortionism from her mentor, but not enough to escape her current predicament. With a wave of his hand, Orochimaru slammed Ino onto the ground, and with another, he sent Ino crashing into the trees with a harsh thud. 1 down, 2 to go. Countdown 341, Katon, Hitama, fire release, fireball. Futon, Shishizenku, wind release. Lion's Battle Roar. Kanbijutsu, Shirko Bakwenjin, combination technique. Lion Roar, exploding flame formation. Naruto watched as the techniques combined, forming an incredibly large head of a ferocious lion composed of red-hot melt the flesh off the bone flames. The technique was only rendered even more deadly when the original Naruto followed up with another technique. Futon, Daitapa, wind release, great breakthrough. From the simple act of adding an additional technique, the lion's head grew twice as large, the flames nearly becoming white in the process. The additional wind technique also gave the lion's head the added benefit of speed. Quickly was it upon the man, like a ravenous predator, before it exploded with the force of a dozen high-grade exploding tags. The explosion sent a wave of heat and dust across the field that momentarily robbed everyone of their vision. When the dust cleared, all that was left was a crater and no sign of Orochimaru. Remarkable technique for one so young. Not even the Uchiha have shown such skill at your age. His eyes wide, Naruto had no time to react as the ground beneath him burst open. The two clones' lives were brought to an end as serpents with swords jutting from their mouths pierced their throats. Konohari Ai Suki no Mai, tree leaf style draw and resheath, dance of the moon. Quickly as he could, the original Naruto ended the serpents' lives with a quick draw of his Uchigatana, which spun like a deadly saw before it ended back into its sheath with an audible click. Aijutsu, impressive. Orochimaru's interest in the boy was piqued. Few outside the samurai knew the deadly art of Aijutsu. Few still could use it, or use it properly. Aijutsu was the samurai's ace, a skill they held that made ninjutsu virtually obsolete due to a ninja's dependence on hand signs and Aijutsu's speed. But it's clear you've yet mastered it, or know how to use it without difficulty. Maybe it was the Kyuubi's chakra influencing him, but the man's smirk was really starting to get under Naruto's skin. But the man was right. The technique was fairly new, having just unlocked it on the last week of the dungeon, and was currently a double-edged technique. It had great damage and reward if done properly, but there was a 35% risk of damage and impairment if he messed up. But the less of HP and increase in fatigue was worth it in Naruto's mind. For Orochimaru let his guard down, and Naruto couldn't help himself as he smirked. The sudden act made the Sannin frown before he sensed it a second later. Damn, was the man's thought. Kablum! Due to the amount of chakra within it, the explosion from the Bunshin Daibakuha sent the man skidding several meters away before he managed to right him. By then, however, he began feeling the unpleasant sting normally associated with the Hyuga clan's famous Juken. 2 strikes. 4 strikes. 8 strikes. 16 STR, JGI Jibaku, Binding Snake Glare Spell. While the act of being struck by the Juken would cause great pain to others, and leave them unable to counterattack, years of experimentation and an atypical body structure helped take care of such a problem. As such, Hinata strikes did nothing and came to an end when 2 very large snakes wrapped around the girl, followed soon after by a very focused and high burst of incredible killing intent, all of which was being solely directed towards her. Hinata's mind saw several images that rattled her greatly, all of them ending with her death or unspeakable torture. Hinata thrashed and fought against the effects for a whole 30 seconds, a feat that actually impressed the white snake, before she could take no more and fainted. Naenar Naruto-kun was her last conscious thought before the light faded from her vision and was replaced by darkness. Hinata was no stranger to the unpleasant feeling of killing intent thanks to Anko. She and Ino had developed a passive skill known as killing intent endurance to reduce the skill's effectiveness as a result. But it was clear that the man's skill with the technique went greatly beyond that of their instructors. Grown men twice her age didn't even last that long, Orochimaru remarked. Many often made the mistake that killing intent was an illusionary technique, and therefore used the genjutsu, kai, to rid themselves of its effects. But the technique was no illusion. It was the will and intent of a person who desired to harm, kill, or torture another mixed with an incredible burst of chakra. The technique sounded pure and simple, the practice was a whole other matter. But impressed or not, much like with Ino, Orochimaru manhandled the kunoichi before he discarded her like yesterday's trash. Countdown to 58, fucking bastard! Naruto shouted. The boy swung his weapons at the man with wild abandon, using the momentum to propel and continue his attempts even if they missed. And there's the famous Jinchuriki anger I've heard so much about, Orochimaru thought, ducking underneath the kanabo that struck and destroyed the large boulder situated behind him in the process. Jinchuriki were much stronger than regular shinobi, but that increase in strength came at a price. The greater amount of Biju chakra used, the greater the chance their mind would become clouded by more primal instincts and emotions. To lesser ninja, this would be a very difficult fight, one that ended with a lot of pain. But to experienced ninja, it was a fight where they more or less controlled outcome of the battle. Mandara no Jin, formation of 10,000 snakes silk. From his mouth came an enormous swarm of greater and larger serpents. The serpents were a veritable tsunami of slithering masses with seemingly no end to them. Defeat the snake swarm within 30 seconds. Failure to defeat swarm within allotted time will result in 25% health loss. Naruto's enraged mind tempted him to rush and rip the serpents to shreds. But the boy managed to regain a decent semblance of rational thought before he proceeded through with the plan. Regular techniques ain't gonna cut it here, he realized. Creating 4 clones, Naruto had 2 rushing towards the serpents while the other 2 prepared their technique. The cannon fodder clones hacked, slashed, and crushed dozens of serpents with each swing of their arms. But the large number made the clones' actions futile and they were soon overrun and killed by the swarm, who continued making their way towards the original. But even as they drew near, the clones' actions managed to stall and draw the serpent's attention long enough for Naruto and his clones to complete the technique. Even then it was damned close, too. Katan Sunju Rasen Hon no Jutsu, Fire Release, Triple Spiraling Phoenix Flame Technique. From the blondes, Orochimaru watched in fascination as 3 large birds of prey composed of deadly intense fire dived towards the sea of snakes. The entire area was set alight as the raptors made contact, and flooded the ground in a sea of flames that licked, burned, and roasted the serpents alive. The intensity of the flames was so great that they set the nearby trees aflame as well. Swarm defeated within 30 seconds. Ha ha! Naruto ignored the message as he exhaled a breath, not used to using multiple high-powered techniques in quick succession. Nearly a third of his CP was gone, but thanks to the Kyuubi chakra cloak it recovered quickly and reduced the rate of his fatigue levels. Naruto, watch out! Karen shouted in warning. Gojyo Fuin, 5 elements seal! Naruto was cut off guard as Orochimaru appeared before him, arms stretched out and fingertips glowing with purple flames. The boy thought himself safe through a last-second use of the kawarimi performed by his clone, but it was not the case. Naruto watched as the struck clone shouted in pain before it, and its brother clone puffed out of existence. Gah! Soon the pain bubbled within him, and Naruto felt himself drained and weakened. Whatever was done to the clone had somehow been transferred over to him. Warning! 5 elements seal in effect. The following effects have occurred. Unable to access the Kyuubi's chakra. Chakra control reduced by 50%. All skills effectiveness, power, EXP, and speed are reduced by 30%. CP cost of skills have been increased by 30%. Fatigue levels have been increased to 60%. Initial application. Shit! Naruto cursed as he balanced himself on one leg, the sudden drain of energy finally getting to him. The boy never thought he'd find a technique he'd hate more than the Bunshin no Jutsu. Odd. Normally that would render you unconscious, Orochimaru recalled. So applying the seal to clones merely drains them of their bark. An angry Hadamara howled, maw blazing with flames as he clamped down hard on the man's shoulder. Orochimaru grunted in discomfort as the large fangs sunk deep into his body. The dog certainly had a decent bite in him, he noted, and the flames only added to the discomfort he felt. As he began lifting his arms, Orochimaru suddenly felt them forced back down as the enlarged canine wrapped its front legs dig into his sides. The claws blazed with incredible heat, the action cauterizing flesh and setting the man's clothing alight. Orochimaru frowned even further when he began sensing something off. Well. A Nikken that can drain chakra. Orochimaru knew Nikken could do many things, but in all his years the missing ninja never once heard of a ninja dog being capable of draining an opponent of their chakra. But the fun time was over. Though his arms were lowered by the beast's impressive strength, Orochimaru was still capable of summoning serpents that slithered out of his sleeves and up the Nikken's arms. The snakes arched their heads back before striking forward, biting the Nikken in the shoulder. Other serpents had sword tips jutting from their mouths and speared the canine as they lunged instead. Hato all the while merely bore with the pain and merely bit down hard, shook his head, and began raking the man and the serpents coming from his robes as best he could. The Nikken then switched tactics and began using his Jo no Kuchi, Maw of the Tyrant King, instead. His time in the primordial dungeon had greatly increased both biting skills and allowed him to drain larger amounts of HP and CP more quickly, too. Orochimaru for his part frowned as he felt himself being drained. Now it's taking my blood? The snake bites and the sword stab should have forced it to release him by now. What matter of beast is this? This was far from an ordinary Nikken. Jo no Kuchi's copy resistance ability is in effect. While Orochimaru contemplated why the Nikken was still breathing, the man didn't into account of 2 things. 1. Hadamaru was half Kamenu, a breed of Nikken with incredible fortitude and resilience. The second was the Jo no Kuchi. Hato's constant use and abuse of it increased the skill to the point that it allowed him to copy 50% of his opponent's highest resistance level. And with Orochimaru's poison resistance being insanely high, so long as the technique remained active, the effects of the snake's poison were nowhere as potent as they normally would be. Opening his mouth as wide as he could, Hadamaru and a severely weakened Naruto watched as another Orochimaru crawled out of, himself. The action reminded Naruto of a serpent shedding its skin, only in a more grotesque manner. Peek-boo, the man chortled, unable to help himself. Okay, I've seen some crazy shit but that's just messed up, Naruto thought. As if reading his mind, Orochimaru released a dark unsettling laugh. Oh, my dear Naruto-kun. You've seen nothing yet, judging by whom he was dealing with, Naruto was inclined to believe the twisted man. Discarding the now empty shell, Hadamara prepared to lunge towards the man. Bark! Daitapa, great breakthrough! A powerful gust of wind struck the Niken, halting his lunge mid-flight and sending him flying backwards. Orochimaru raised his arms to summon forth another wave of snakes, but found himself grappling with Naruto instead. Naruto grunted in exertion as he used all his might, combined with the Kangariki of course, to hold the man in place. Simply incredible, the man remarked. Even with the seal placed on him and the constant use of powerful techniques, the blonde still had enough energy to go on fighting. But as remarkable as the feat was, Orochimaru was starting to become annoyed by the constant interference. Warning! Your chakra is being drained. Countdown, 102, come on. Naruto only needed to hold off until the time was up. But the boy cursed as he felt his chakra and energy leave him at a frightening rate. Orochimaru's mastery of whatever technique was doing this had to be incredibly high. If Naruto didn't let go, he'd be drained within minutes. But if he did let go, Karen would become a sitting duck. I must say it's been fun, Naruto-kun. But unfortunately I'm going to cut it short, and with that, Orochimaru brought the boy in and delivered a heavy knee rise to the boy's gut. The white snake then followed up with a vicious punch to the face that sent Naruto flying before he crashed into a nearby boulder. The swift combination of blows took less than 3 seconds, and Naruto was left with a bad case of the day's status effect. Were he not in a hurry, Orochimaru would have fiddled with the idea of marking the boy with a curse seal. But every second counted, and the sooner he grabbed the girl, the better. Gekidoku, Akumu no Kyoki, deadly poison, nightmare from the ancient world. A weakened Ino declared a glob of pink shooting from her mouth and striking a distracted Orochimaru in the back. Ino huffed loudly, as her all-or-nothing attack used up most of her chakra, before she fell unconscious to the ground. Orochimaru ignored the slimy liquid that struck his exposed as he made his way towards Karen. The girl's poorly attempted effort was wasted in his mind. So far only the Jinchuriki is showing promise, the other two were impressive compared to other genin nowadays, but it didn't go any further than that. Orochimaru saw the girl being protected by the injured Niken and decided to rid himself of the beast once and for all. Hiss! Orochimaru stopped in his tracks as he heard a sound behind him. Orochimaru knew it neither Anko nor Midori. No, those two would have attacked the moment they saw me. Regrouping. Orochimaru dodged just as the jaws of whatever dove at him clamped down with a resonating clap. The man had no time for respite as it whirled around and swung its tail at him with frightening speed. The man managed to avoid being hit in the torso but was nicked in the arm hard enough to send him spinning before he landed on the ground. Whatever the creature was wouldn't let up though as Orochimaru heard it charging down towards him. The man managed to rise up quickly enough to come face to face with something he had never seen before. It was an incredibly large reptilian-like creature with only 2 long forelimbs and no hind limbs, along with the long, prehensile, serpentine tails. Its body was long and slender, yet muscular. But its appearance was noticeably skeletal, particularly the torso and head, the latter of which looked as though the skull was on the outside. Grak! It roared, momentarily stunning him somehow. The action allowed it enough time to smack the man around like a rag doll. The force behind it robbing him of his oxygen, a process it repeated more than once before his form was battered and weakened. Then it jutted out its tongue, which quickly and tightly began wrapping around him. The sticky appendage gave no quarter as it squeezed the man like a constrictor before it retracted back into the mouth of the unknown beast. Orochimaru couldn't help but gasp and shout as he felt the large sword-like teeth dig and rend into him, turning his body into pieces of ripped meat and destroyed clothing. Then, as his chewed-up form made its way into his stomach, Orochimaru vacated his damaged self, only for his arm to come into contact with the deadly stomach acid. The man felt his arm burn and melt as it ate away at his vulnerable flesh. Years of modifying his body to prevent such harm proved useless at the moment. All Orochimaru could do was scream and nothing more. Then it all ended. And Orochimaru found himself no longer in the belly of the beast but in the real world. What the hell was that? The man would never admit it out loud, but what he saw, and what he felt so intensely real. and dare he say it, unnerving. It was like Itachi's genjutsu, maybe even worse. The man gasped in pain and looked at his arm to see it was bloody. Chunks of flesh were missing and the man felt a burning sensation, as if it is being burned off. Kaijin Saigasho, Titan's crushing Fang impact, was all the warning Orochimaru received. His mind, which was still rattled by the effects of Ano's poison, registered the attack too late. The merciless Kanabo struck him hard in the face, his skin rippling from one side to the next. His feet, now no longer touching the ground, told Orochimaru he was currently airborne. Were he a lesser man, the blow would have killed him. But years of experimenting on his body would allow him to shake off such blows with ease. Even blows that were powered by his teammates' legendary super strength would be shaken off, though the latter would hurt a hell of a lot more. But it didn't mean the boy's current blow didn't sting like hell. The man could only imagine what it would feel like had the chakra cloak still been active. Before he could right himself, Orochimaru felt himself make contact with something that was highly unpleasant. Hack, Kikosho, 8 trigrams, Qigong palm. Between the weakened Hyuga's palms was a large ball of chakra that rippled and pulsed with concussive power. The energy surged outwards and made contact with Orochimaru's back, once, twice, 4 times, the effects increasing every time before it finally ended at 20 and subsequently exploded. Orochimaru flew high into the air, unable to right himself for whatever reason, while the explosion sent Hinata crashing into a tree. Then gravity took hold and Orochimaru plummeted to the unforgiving ground and crashed with a loud thud. Off to the side, the injured Hadamara looked ready to charge in and clamp down on the man's throat. Pay back for the burning stab wound in his shoulders. Hato, stay right there, Naruto ordered, knowing what his Niken was thinking. He's not done. And his words rang true as Orochimaru's form rose from the ground. Naruto tensed and created shadow clones to watch over his teammates. The boy expected the man to be angry, and why wouldn't he be? Naruto himself would be the same after what just happened. Kukuku. Huh! Of all the reactions Naruto thought was coming, laughter was the furthest from his mind. Kukuku ha 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 ha. If it was not for his gamer's mind, Naruto knew without a doubt that he'd be shitting himself right now. Remarkable. Simply remarkable. You 3 proved me wrong. Oh, so very wrong indeed. The man's smile was both highly unpleasant and highly unnerving. Orochimaru suspected these 3 were above average genin, but it wasn't the first time he encountered such genin. Now he realized he was wrong. Somehow, despite their age, these 3 were a superior cut above. These 3 were special, very special in the man's mind. These 3 had the man's curiosity, but now they had his attention. Something no one wanted to have. Yes. Allow me to leave you with a parting gift. Oh fuck, I don't like the sound of that. Naruto tensed and prepared himself for what was about to happen next. What transpired was a snake coming out of Orochimaru's mouth, and from the serpent's mouth came a sword. Kusanagi no Tsurugi. Grass-mowing sword, epic quality weapon type, range, slashing, piercing attack power, 719 to 959 durability, 550/550 description. The Kusanagi no Tsurugi is a legendary blade that many master swordsmen would die to acquire. Though its appearance is that of an ordinary katana, looks can be deceiving. At first glance many mistake the Kusanagi as a single-edged blade, while it is, in fact, a double-edged sword with the keenness of edges. This is especially so when channeled with elemental and non-elemental chakra. Due to its ability to replicate and enhance the effects of any poison, it has come into contact existence. The weapon is highly sought after by poison users as well. In addition, the sword possesses the ability to swiftly extend its blade over long distances with incredible accuracy. How these 2 processes were made possible remains a mystery. Where and who made this weapon has remained a mystery, too. However, it is considered incomplete if rumors are to go by. Legends claim the sword was once part of a single sword before it was split in 2, the Kusanagi and the Murakumo. Swordsmen claim that if the 2 weapons were to be reunited and become whole again, it would be reborn as one of the deadliest of swords. Requirements: expert bladed skill mastery, weapon penalty if used otherwise, bonus stats, plus 95% chance to cause severe bleeding status effect, random poison status effect, and sever status effect, plus 125% increase towards effectiveness and power towards chakra flow skill effectiveness, plus 100% increase towards effectiveness, speed, EXP and power towards sword-based skills and fighting styles, plus 75% chance of ignoring defense special trait, incomplete sword, telekinesis, extending blade, and vast poison production, keenness edge furic, was all Naruto could say. The weapon was awesome as hell, and that was only the base stat. The boy could only imagine how much better it would be if it were equipped by someone with sword-boosting traits or equipment. But it just had to be in the hands of homicidal Nuke Nin. Forget the fact he was a Nuke Nin. Orochimaru was once one of Konoha's best, a top-tier shinobi that appeared only once in Blue Moon. And the man had an epic if not borderline legendary sword at his disposal. This was gonna hurt. Countdown, 059. Would you like to end the mission now? Y/N, or not? Yes. End the fucking mission. Naruto shouted, uncaring who heard or the fact he'd end up with extra rewards. The old Naruto would have continued fighting despite the odds out of sheer stubbornness and stupidity. But this Naruto knew he was extremely lucky to have lasted even this long. Access to the Kyuubi's chakra was cut off, he was running on fumes, and his teammates were out for the count. Had he noticed it sooner, Naruto would have ended the mission the moment the countdown reached 0. The boy wasn't ashamed to throw in the towel now that their objective was done. He'd live to fight the man another day. Of that Orochimaru could count on. Quest completed. Do or die. Main quest. Must last at least 5 minutes against Orochimaru. Accomplished secondary quest. Last longer than 5 minutes against Orochimaru. Plus 1:02. Accomplished. Total rewards earned. 5,500 EXP. Plus 600 REP with Konoha. Plus 500 REP with Karen Kuchios. Yatai Kazushi no Jutsu. Summoning. Food cart destroyer technique. A voice was heard from above. Followed soon after by the sound of a thunderous crash, courtesy of an extremely large orange and red toad. The enormous toad acted as a barrier between Karen, Team 8 and Orochimaru. Jiraiya, Orochimaru greeted his former teammate, a scowl on his face for the man's untimely appearance. Orochimaru, the man returned his former friend's scowl with one of his own. But first thing was first, Gamaryu. The kids. Got it, faster than he could anticipate. Naruto watched in fascination and horror as the toad's tongue darted out, latched onto Hadamaru and Karen, and then proceeded to dart back into its mouth. Oh god damn it. Not again. Naruto cursed as the toad eyed him before its tongue darted towards him. Fuck. Oh yeah? Definitely Kushina's kid, Jiraiya commented, just as the last of the genin were swallowed up by the amphibian. So, you ready to do this? Orochimaru scowled, upset that his target was now out of reach, but smirked all the same. Perhaps another time, Jiraiya. Give my regards to, die motherfucker, was the man's only warning, a deadly whip of sickly yellow energy slicing through his midsection like a red-hot knife through warm butter. Orochimaru's lower body fell backwards while his torso fell forward. But it wasn't the end. The severed torso quickly sprouted a swarm of snakes that wreathed together before forming a humanoid-like tail. Okay, that's messed up. Jiraiya couldn't help but wonder how far his former teammate and best friend had gone. The sudden skill Orochimaru used enabled him to put some distance between himself, Jiraiya and his summon, and his attacker. It didn't surprise the man that it ended up being his former student. What did surprise him were her appearance and the feeling of her chakra. Anko-chan. So nice to see you again. The man dodged under the yellow whip as she lashed out at him with wild abandon. Anko-chan, I'm hurt. We haven't seen each other for so long, and already you're trying to kill me. And with the present I left you no less. Shut up, shut up, shut up! Anko shouted, her anger fueling the cursed seal and impairing her judgment. This man had not only ruined her life and the lives of others, but he also attacked her genin. Anko was adamant on making him suffer. In an act that confused both men, Anko stabbed her claw-like nails into her arms and drew forth blood. Luckily, the power of her cursed seal level 1 allowed her to heal rather quickly as she unleashed her technique. A gut feeling told Orochimaru the technique would be far from pleasant. Before Anko unleashed it, Orochimaru held his hand up in a sign to immobilize his student with the seal. Yet nothing happened, and Anko's technique remained unopposed. Eat this. Daka, Hyjin Kesso, Toxic Luster, Flying Blade Blood Claws. Anko drew back both of her arms before she flung them forward, one arm crossing over the other, as she unleashed a barrage of red crescent-shaped blades. Seeing his initial plan end, something he'd look into, Orochimaru was forced to go another route. Kuchios, Rashomon, summoning, Rashomon. From the ground came a large demonic-like gate that blocked off the barrage of blades. His face, however, contorted into one of intrigue as he saw the corrosive effects that played out before him. The singular Rashomon was nowhere as large compared to its stronger variants. It was the weakest of the techniques, but the defensive properties was still nothing to be taken lightly. Yet the technique ate through the gate at a rapid pace. That's new, his student's technique intriguing the man. Ranjishigami no Jutsu, Wild Lion's main technique. From the corroded gate burst through a white lion's head, its maw wide open with the intent to swallow him whole. As it clamped down on the man's body, Orochimaru's form shuddered before it fell apart into multiple serpents. Retsujin, Tearing Blade. Quickly the snakes circled the lion's head, the act shredding them to pieces due to the form being harder than steel, but slowing its retreat as Orochimaru stabbed down with the Kusanagi. The sword pierced the lion's head, and with a sudden jerk the man decapitated the beast, the act ending the technique, forcing Jiraiya's hair to shrink back down to its original size. Orochimaru merely laughed as he began sinking into the earth. It's been fun catching up, Jiraiya, Anko-chan. But unfortunately, my time is up. I'll be seeing you soon though. Kukuku, very soon. And just as Anko was about to pierce the smug bastard's skull with her corrosive claws did the man vanish. Any sign of his chakra signature was gone. Elsewhere, that could have gone better, Asagao frowned. She wouldn't admit it out loud, but it was evidently clear that Konoha had some quality ninja despite their years of peace. Granted, Umbu were considered the best of the bests, and Jiraiya of the legendary Three Ninja was an unexpected turn of events. Strong and experienced as the three women were, they were nowhere the man's level. Asagao's skill in Fuinjutsu was greatly superior to the man's own and more than enough to subdue him if she caught Jiraiya off guard. However, his knowledge would require her to use secret clan techniques if she wanted a chance to deal some actual damage. The woman wasn't prepared to reveal them just yet, however. Feeling her side warm up, Asagao pulled out a scroll, unfurled it, and watched as a hologram of a woman began appearing before her. Status report. The mission was a failure, Anoko-sama, Asagao stated. What happened? Where are the two Uzumaki? The woman demanded. Gone. I ordered Mako and Januga after them as you ordered, but I haven't heard from them. They may be heading back to the rendezvous as we speak. Asagao knew that Shaka could handle herself. Mako was another story. She wasn't as experienced as the two older Uzumaki. You still haven't told me what happened. How did the plan not work? Those beasts weren't easy to make but shouldn't have gone down so easily either, being directly linked to her creations. Anoka knew that Januga was either dead or her link to him was severed. Possibly a contract seal. Jiraiya of the Sannin appeared, milady. We had the Umbu outclassed and outnumbered, and with the beasts, they stood no chance. Victory was assured before he showed up, Asagao told her clan head. We were forced to retreat. Rather than respond, Anoka remained silent as she contemplated this series of events. More than once did the man interfere with their plans, and it was apparent that he was starting to become a nuisance. The man had to be dealt with. Set up a meeting, Harakichi. I want to meet with him, personally. At once, Anoka-sama, Asagao bowed. In the meantime, what shall we? Tell the others to remain low and continue their duties, Anoka interrupted. I want the corpses of the beasts retrieved, or as much samples of them as you can't. She could technically summon them, but she already spent an enormous deal of chakra to reverse summon them to their location. At the moment she had yet to recover at a respectable level, and at the current distance was too great even with the amount of chakra she possessed. Keep tabs on those two Uzumaki. The moment either one of them leaves Konoha, you will inform me. "Hi, Anoko-sama," the woman said, the woman's hologram flickering out of existence. Though their mission ended in failure, Asagao made a vow she wouldn't fail again. Sannin or not, Jiraiya wasn't going to interfere in their plans anymore. The next time they met, she'd be prepared for him. XXXO. Damn! Naruto grunted as his shoulder was popped back into place, no longer being affected by the physical impairment, arm as a result. His chakra was slowly coming around, too, thanks to Jiraiya. "You're fine," Nico told him before moving on to the other genin. Didn't even know that happened, then again, he was under the effects of the Kyuubi's chakra. But even with the trade-off for increased physical power and chakra, while also reducing his sound judgment and common sense, it barely allowed him to keep up with the toying man. Sure, he landed some decent hits, but the man could have ended him in a flash if he was serious from the get-go, especially with that sword, damn. Naruto knew of the Kusanagi, having acquired it the odd times on his video games. It was easily one of the best swords ever and offered some kick-ass abilities and stats, something the real thing possessed, too. And it's incomplete to boot, the boy could only wonder how awesome it would be whole. But he pushed that matter aside for now. It was a no-brainer that the Kusanagi wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. Quest alert! 2 heavens as one main quest. Find and reunite the Murakumo no Tsurugi and Kusanagi no Tsurugi main quest completion rewards, plus 50 attribute points, plus 1,300,000 EXP? Quest is optional. Accept quest? Yes/no, Naruto-kun? Are you alright? Hinata asked him. I'm fine. Thanks, Hinata, he told her with a smile before he accepted the quest. The girl flushed a bit before she noticed a few cuts on his head. Here, let me. Taking some ointment, Hinata rubbed it on his hand and Naruto watched as he gained the Regan status effect. The girl followed up by setting her hands aglow with green chakra and placed them on top of his head. I'll take some of that when you're done with him, Hinata, Ino called out, her voice sounding a bit hoarse and rough. Apparently, her last technique had some side effects. Speaking of which, what was that stuff you hit him with? Naruto asked while Hinata healed his head. Remember when I was fiddling with the plants I found on our training session? Naruto nodded. Well, I may or may not have hit him with some of the nastier batches. All 4 members of Team 8 shuddered at the memory. The poison was discovered purely by accident, and Ino was still trying to perfect it. Said poison wasn't deadly in the sense that it would shut down motor function, though with a bit of luck it would down the line, or cause the air paths to seize up. It did cause intensely horrific visions. The effects didn't last long, something about the composition breaking down too quickly, but damn if it didn't leave an impression on the victim's mind. The poison was like a genjutsu, a very powerful one, and made them see things that felt real. The effects create a psychoactive event in the mind so intense that the body soon began reflecting some of these wounds. Ino rarely used it since the ingredients were not only extremely rare but because she had yet to formulate an antidote, or master it. There were also the moral ramifications to consider as well. The Yamanaka heiress had labeled it as a forbidden technique, and it was currently her most powerful and most dangerous poison technique. Still, for a poison to have affected Orochimaru of all people is impressive, they heard Nico praise. You don't know the half of it, Ino grinned but said no more. If the woman was impressed now, the girl could only wonder how much more she'd been with the mastered version. That would truly be the stuff of nightmares. Hinata, you okay? Naruto asked, seeing his teammates sweat. I'm fine, Naruto-kun. Just a bit tired was all she said. You used the Shimyaku and Byu Dead Pulse performance, didn't you? Ino commented, recognizing the technique's side effects. Hi, she nodded, and continued healing her teammate. I didn't have a choice. To be honest, I still can't believe it fooled him, she admitted but gave a light frown. Even though it was her own technique, Hinata, in all honesty, currently didn't care for it at the moment. When forced to give her rosary of the Wandering Nico to Anko, the Hyuga came up with a technique that combined the principles of deception and medical ninjutsu. The Dead Pulse performance was a technique that simulated death by slowing down one's heartbeat to the lowest possible level. The technique worked, and when used the dungeon enemies ignored her fallen form. The only downside was that at its current level it took her some time to get back up and running and greatly increased her fatigue levels too. It was a risky technique as well, and one that Hinata decided to use only as a last resort. The girl theorized that if she performed it incorrectly, it could potentially leave her in a very compromising situation. Hinata was surprised that she managed to pull it off with killing intent washing over her. A quick but thorough medical scan put her mind at ease when nothing was out of the ordinary. "You three are something else, you know," Jiraiya laughed. "Yeah, we fought a Sannin and lived." Naruto still couldn't believe it. "Don't get cocky, Gaki. If my sick bastard of a teacher was serious from the get-go, you'd all be dead or worse," Anko butt in. Others would assume her attitude were the lingering effects of the seal. Naruto knew otherwise. Have to agree with Anko there. You guys stalled him for 6 minutes, which, mind you, is no small feat, but it took all you got just to pull that off. Trust me when I say this, Orochimaru is like a predator toying with its prey. He'll let it drag on until he gets bored, and won't take a fight seriously until something significant happens. Now that he knows what you're capable of, he won't go easy the next time you meet. He'd probably test them, but that was it. Naruto frowned as Jiraiya said that. If that's true, then why did he sound pleased? What? Yeah. After we smacked him around a few times, he just started laughing. Went on calling us remarkable, Naruto recalled. The news didn't bode well for the group of ninja who heard this, and feeling dread and worry started to bubble. Anything else? Anything at all. The concern in their voice was so clear it went beyond crystal. Concentrating, Naruto remembered the last thing Orochimaru told them. Yeah. Before you crashed the party. Cool technique, by the way. He said something about leaving us with a gift. That fucker's dead. Anko roared, the chakra and curse seal flaring up, and her personality taking a 180-degree turn. This chakra, it's similar to his. Karen shuddered. The feeling wasn't as oppressive, but malevolence was there still. It frightened her if she was being honest. Turning around, Anko found her path blocked by the remaining Umbu. Their level of stupidity was high in her opinion. Nothing would stand in her way of making Orochimaru pay. Attacking students was one thing, which shouldn't have happened in the first place, but the man's suggesting of branding them with the cursed seal was another altogether. It didn't take a genius for Anko to make that deduction. A quick use of the shunshin created some distance between her and the Umbu grunts that were too slow to react. But the woman didn't get far as Jiraiya suddenly appeared before her, grabbed the enraged woman and slapped her neck with a piece of paper that subdued the cursed seal. The anger didn't, however. "Let me go, perv! He has to die!" Anko struggled against the man's hold. Despite the dark power receding, the woman's rage still fueled her desire to torture and end the man. "I get it, but you have no idea where he is, and you'll barely last 5 minutes with how angry you are." Even if she was calm, Jiraiya knew Anko wouldn't have the strength to bring the man down. Even with her noticeable boost in power. She'd land a few good blows, probably, but that was about it. The man's reasoning fell on deaf ears, so Yugao opted to change tactics in his stead. Smack! The slap, however, was a twist he didn't expect. "Anko! Your students need you. Woman up, bitch!" The Umbu grunts showed no outward expressions at the action, though their masks covering their faces probably played a role in it, too, having been used to the relationship their captain had with the eccentric INT specialist. "Sorry," was all Anko said, not trusting herself. Or, more specifically, her darker self influencing by the seal. Smack! "But friend or not, don't you ever bitch slap me again," Anko said, getting into Yugao's face. "Like we haven't heard that one before." The Umbu's sweat dropped. Well, better their captain than them. Were the situation not so serious, Jiraiya would have considered using the scene in one of his future books. Then again, stuff like this only comes up once in a blue moon. "Okay, so with that all done, what now?" Naruto asked, his gaze landing on a bound and tied up Mako a second later, contemplating her fate. What's gonna happen to her? Apparently, the girl and the blue beast were ordered to track and stop them from escaping. That plan didn't exactly branch out the moment Jiraiya crashed the party. From what Naruto knew of the man from Anko, the only way she'd have stood a change was if she took off her top off. Wouldn't be the worst way to lose a fight, was the teenager's perverted thought. Hell, the loss would be damn worth it. But the boy soon turned green when the rational part of him made him remember she was family. Her name is Mako, Nico announced. According to the bingo books, she's a B-rank bounty hunter with a decent reputation. Last I heard, she got into some trouble and made more than a few enemies with the underground and a few bounty hunters. Rumors say she went off the grid as a result. Shows how much you know, Mako muttered lowly, but was heard nonetheless by the Anbu squad leader. Yugao made a mental note to get that clarified later once they reached Konoha. Yugao, however, continued epithets, Kamaho no Tekken, the Scarlet Witch with the Iron Fists, or Meijo, which, for short. Apparently she's a skilled scientist but has noticeable skills in taijutsu, and is said to have a wicked punch. Ain't that the truth? Jiraiya was still wincing from a lucky blow she landed. The girl was no Tsunade, but the blow would definitely leave a mark. He idly wondered if it was a trait all females with Uzumaki blood possessed. Scarlet Witch? Naruto gave the girl a glance, and except for a bit of blood here and there he didn't see a lick of red on her. Where'd she get that from? Her hair, Karen got their attention. We Uzumaki are known for our red hair. Hair dye, clever, Ino commented. It was a simple but effective strategy, really. Karen nodded. Mom and Dad dyed their hair color before Kusa discovered who they were. Seemed pointless to do so afterward when you couldn't really go anywhere. Not all of them do it either out of pride or because they're half-bloods with different hair color. But it's not uncommon. Yeah, well, as enlightening as it is, what's gonna happen to her? His earlier question not answered. Family or no, Mako did attack his team, but the boy was torn. The girl was an Uzumaki, one of the few remaining, but she and the rest of the Uzumaki also attacked them, maybe even had the intent to kill. Team 8 and Anko will continue making their way back to Konoha. Our job is to deal with the Kusa team and any remaining Uzumaki stragglers. This one is gonna have to go back with you. Think you can manage? I can swallow you and make my way back to Konoha if you'd like? Gameriu offered. No, was the reply from Karen and Team 8's Genin. Once was more than enough, twice was too much. If they went through it a third time, someone was gonna end up with broken kneecaps, and so much more. Anko laughed even as the rescued Uzumaki and her team sent her death glares and dirty looks. Tempting as the offer sounds, I think we'll manage. Wouldn't mind a lift on his back until we're further into Hai no Kuni's territory. Jiraiya merely nodded. It's your call, Anko. Just watch yourself. These Uzumaki women, they're highly skilled and just as dangerous. Don't take them lightly. They were also hot as well in his opinion, the tall one especially. Anko frowned. Perverted as he was, Jiraiya was easily the second most powerful ninja Konoha had. Few ninja could get him to say such a thing. The woman merely nodded before she looked to her team. Hey! I'm an Uzumaki. What about me? Naruto felt insulted. You're not a woman, brat, Jiraiya retorted with a smirk. Oiroke no jutsu, sexy technique. Only to lose that smirk seconds later as the boy's form was replaced with a naked adult female version. The girl had it all, hourglass figure, flowing blonde pigtails, legs that wouldn't stop, and a perfect set of breasts covered by strategically placed wisps of smoke. Now. Jiraiya-sama? She finished with a seductive wink. 10. The super perverted couldn't help himself as he was launched into the air, blood gushing from his nostril like high-pressured water streams. Your reputation with Yuzuki Yugao has decreased by 100. Your reputation with Konoha's Umbu has increased by 100. Your reputation with Mitarashi Anko has increased by 100. Your reputation with Yamanaka Ino has increased by 100. Your reputation with Jiraiya has increased by 300. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. The increased reputation with the Umbu, Jiraiya and Anko were a given. Jiraiya and men in general were perverts, something he learned early on. Anko's rep was increased because it was a prank and possibly because she was bisexual. Yugao, despite being in the Umbu, was a bit classy, so he could understand the decrease. Ino's increase, however, came as shock. A quickly glance allowed him to see her trying to hide her blush. Ino's a lesbian? That or bisexual, which was cool, kidda hot as well, and all in Naruto's opinion, whatever floats one's boat. The boy was just surprised given the amount of time she crushed after Sasuke. Then again, the same could be said about him with Sakura. The boy had lingering thoughts, true, but time away from her and time spent with teammates slowly but surely changed those feelings. Alright, enough fun, kiddies. Everyone up on the toad, she ordered, her gaze falling on Gameriu, swallow the redhead. Come again? Mako thought she heard wrong, only to feel a sticky appendage latch onto her form before it swiftly retracted. SSSSSHHHHHHITTTTTT. That was cruel, Naruto muttered. Fitting but cruel. At least it wasn't him again. The blonde Uzumaki shuddered. Sometime later, home sweet home, a content Anko breathed in the fresh scent of trees. Mako and Karen remained dumbfounded by the act of instant traveling. The instructor of Team 8 would openly admit that Naruto's fast travel was a damn useful technique to have on their side. What would take them days or weeks now took them seconds. The only downside, other than the specifics, was making certain others didn't catch on. People feared the Yondaime not only due to his prodigious prowess but also for his skill with Senju Tobirama's Flying Thunder God. After all, it did help them win the last war. But while her student's technique wasn't on the same level, rumors were powerful and dangerous. All it took was one person to start believing and soon others would follow. Add that Naruto was coming into his rather quickly compared to the old him would cause others to ask questions. Naruto, all three of her students really, was very strong for his age but he lacked experience. His gamer ability gave him a huge advantage, but it didn't make him invincible. Team 8's bout with Orochimaru proved that. Kid's a jonin on some levels but he's still rough around the edges like other genin, and not just him but Ino and Hinata also. And with the Chunin exams being less than 3 weeks away she'd have to push them as hard as she could, after a couple of days off, of course. Okay, what the hell happened? Karen couldn't help herself from asking. Let's just say I have a unique technique that lets me travel from one place to another in an instant, Naruto told her. You know the Flying Thunder God, don't you? Mako felt all eyes on her. Oh, come on. Everyone's heard of it. Why do you think we were attacked? I was told it was because we were masters at seals, she interrupted. Yeah, like I haven't heard that bullshit before. That's like saying the Nara were masters of strategy, or the Uchiha were masters of fire-related techniques and genjutsu. Despite the revelation, Anko quickly put 2 and 2 together. Shit, but didn't voice her thoughts. Mako smirked, give the woman a prize. The Uzumaki helped the Nidaime make the damn thing. True, we never quite managed to use it on the same level as him but damn if wasn't it useful for sneak attacks and quick geta. Before she could go any further, Mako found herself gagged by a scowling Anko. Hey! Naruto was both confused by the action and the fact he couldn't find out more about his clan. Anko, however, ignored his outburst. Until we speak with Hokage-sama, you 4 will keep your mouths shut about this. You will tell no one and no one is to find out. Understand? But why? I said do you understand? Anko barked out. However, seeing the betrayed-like look on their faces, Anko knew she went a bit too far. Look. Knowledge of this kind is something others won't hesitate to kill if it means getting it. You guys are strong, especially when you're together, but others are much stronger. And they won't hesitate to torture you for this kind of intel. Trust me when I say that the less you know about it, the safer you'll be. Naruto frowned, but nodded nonetheless. He didn't like it, but he understood where she was coming from. Got it, he said. Ino, Hinata, Karen, and Hato agreed as well before they made their way to the Hokage Tower. XXX, Naruto kicked a rock as he and his Nikan continued their trek down the village. Apparently they just missed Gigi when the man entered a last-minute council meeting. So now Team 8 was forced to wait until they received word he was ready for their report. And if past experience hasn't taught me anything about council meetings then this may take a while, the blonde shinobi sighed. The boy was bored and not overly interested in going into a dungeon at the moment. Ino and Hinata went to their respective clan compounds while Anko took care of Karen and Mako. Mako would be held in the cells while Karen he had no idea what would happen. Naruto was also unsure where Karen was gonna bunk now that she was here. While he was tempted to offer her a place to stay with him, it would give them the chance to get to know one another as a result. His home was currently a one-man abode until it was fixed up. Guess I can work on that till they come get. Oh, for the love of... Naruto sighed. Only this time it was one of exasperation. Rather than say anything, Naruto merely threw a pair of shuriken that struck a square rock, with eye holes no less, the action earning him a series of yelps and childish screams. Seriously, Kono, if you're gonna call yourself my underling, at least do a better job. I mean, a square rock? Do we look like we're in a quarry? If I were Irika-sensei, I'd give you a big fat F. You know what, screw it, I am gonna do that. You guys get an F. The blonde having sense more than just the Hokage's grandson. No! A voice that wasn't his underling yelled in anguish, the box lifting to reveal an actual snot-nosed kid with glasses. Don't fail me. It'll ruin my grade record. Udon, you idiot! Another unfamiliar voice called all. This one was female. Come on, guys. I had this planned all week, and there was the Hokage's grandson and Naruto's self-proclaimed underling. Okay, first off, if you're going for stealth, don't scream and reveal yourself. It kinda defeats the whole purpose, Naruto quoted Anko and had to stop himself from face-planting as they began to take notes. Secondly, who are these two? Guys, the move, was all Konohamaru said before the three children got into position. I'm Moegi, the sassiest kunoichi in school. I enjoy doing algebra. My name is Udon. And I'm the toughest shinobi in the village. My name is Konohamaru. And we're the Konohamaru Ninja Corps. The three 8-year-olds chorused. Needs work, was all he said, rendering them dejected in the process. Ah, man. I thought it was awesome, Konohamaru whined. How can I match up to my rival if I can't even do that right? I thought I was your boss. Boss, rival, it's all the same, the scarf-wearing boy waved it off. It's really not, Naruto thought with a sweat drop. This kid's got a long way to go. Anyway, where have you been, boss? You promised me you'd play ninja with us when you had the opportunity, remember? Konohamaru declared, pointing his finger at the older ninja. By the way. Did you get taller? Naruto had to result the urge to face-plant once more. Seriously? It took him that long to notice. Oh boy. The Uzumaki knew he had his work cut out for him. What kind of ninja plays ninja? An unimpressed and ragged-looking Sakura asked as she entered the scene. Whoa, Sakura, what happened to you? The boy couldn't help ask. I don't want to talk about it, was all she said, Naruto's question going unanswered. The girl looked spent and just about ready to drop too. From the looks of it, it appeared that Kakashi was taking his duties more seriously. Glancing back and forth between the two older ninja, Konohamaru looked at the pink-haired kunoichi, and with grin and small blush asked, Hey boss. Is she your? He finished with a gesture. No, was his reply. Sure, at one point in time he'd have considered it, but not now. Konohamaru was confused before he gave Sakura a look over. It's the forehead and flat chest, isn't it? Konohamaru asked. Wham! Oh, I really have my work cut out for me. But try as he might, Naruto failed to hold in his laughter as he gazed upon the prone form of his underling. Itai, Konohamaru moaned painfully, a large whelp forming on the top of his head as an angry Sakura stomped away in a huff of indignation. Boss, is that even a girl? This kid's either missing a few brain cells or he's got a serious death wish, Naruto thought as he saw Sakura stop mid-stride. This wasn't going to be pretty. And lo and behold. What? Unfortunately for the boy, Sakura heard him and began cracking her knuckles for round 2. Oh, Konohamaru didn't need to be a genius to know he messed up big time. Come here. And with that she charged. Crap. Boss, help me. Konoha shouted as he ran for his life. Sorry, kid, no can do. The blonde laughed. You suck. What kind of boss doesn't help his underling? Konohamaru shouted as he ran around a corner, the mad kunoichi hot on his trail. Udon and Moegi trailing soon after the two. One that knows that this will serve as a valuable life lesson, was his mental reply. But despite it all, the boy had a chivalrous side to him. Come on, Hato. Better make sure Sakura doesn't do too much damage. Arf. True enough, the scene he came upon was on of Konohamaru deep in the shit. Only it wasn't Sakura who was the reason for it. You little brat, an older boy wearing a black cat-like suit of all things shouted, lifting Konohamaru off the ground by the collar of his shirt. Hey! Put me down! Let me go! Konohamaru ordered and struggled to get loose. Damn brat! You're the one who bumped into me. I ought to make you pay for that, the boy said, his fist cocked back to go through with the threat. Arf. Arf. Grr. Looking down, the one holding Konohamaru saw a young dog barking and growling at him. What the? Scram, ya mutt. Grr, rarf. Chomp. Yow. Yo. What the hell's with all the for the love of all that is Kami and right in the world? Get him off. The cat-suit teenager shouted. I would if you'd stop moving, you idiot. His sandy-haired companion shouted. Grr. Hotemaru continued to growl and chomp on the boy's backside. Hato. Bad dog. Let go. You have no idea where that's been, Naruto ordered his Niken, grabbing a hold of the stripped puppy and pulling as hard as he could. The girl grabbed the boy's shoulders and began tugging in the opposite direction. Ah. Rip. Oof. Was the sound he made as he and Hotemaru fell to the ground, a piece of black cloth clinging to his Ninken's mouth. Dumb dog, Naruto chastised before he settled his gaze on the two teens across from him. Sorry about that. Don't know, you little shits. You're both fucking dead. The angry boy shouted. Huh? What did we do? He's the idiot that bumped into you. Hey! A pissed Konohamaru shouted. It's not my fault I bumped into the cross-dresser. Cross-dresser. The sandy-haired teen and the cat-suit teenager shouted, one out of horror and anger, the other out of pure amusement. Where the hell did that come from? Well, you're wearing makeup for one, and also a kitty pajama suit, was the young academy student's response. Naruto blinked as he processed his underling's words. He's got a point, dude. Sakura, who so far stood on the sidelines with Moegi and Udan as the scene unfolded, decided to add her 2 cents. I'm sorry for what's happened. But who are you and what are two Sunagekure genin doing here? The girl merely gave Sakura, whom she was believed to be too ignorant to be a kunoichi, a haughty smiled, name's Temari. The idiot punk/cross-dresser with the extra hole in his ass is my brother, Kankuro. It's war paint. Kankuro retorted but was promptly ignored. Let me guess, Chunin exams? Naruto asked. Temari gave the boy a look over as he stood up. He's kinda handsome, she thought. Well, at least one of you is competent to know why we're here. Bitch! I dare you to say that again. Sakura's inner self shouted, fiddling with the notion of ripping her 4 ponytails from her scalp. Chunin exams or not, I'm kicking your ass, now. Kankuro declared, his arm moving back to grab his rap tool. Only for a rock to make contact with it, stopping the appendage in its tracks. No sudden moves, Sasuke said, making himself known to the group. About time the team revealed himself. Part of Naruto wondered why Sasuke was in the tree in the first place but decided it wasn't his business. The bloodlust he was sensing on the other hand. Sasuke-kun! Sakura gushed at the boy's arrival. Another looker, Temari commented. Though the new arrival wasn't as good-looking as the older blonde, he was good-looking still. Another bratty show-off. Whatever. 2, 3, it doesn't matter, I'll still. Pathetic, a cold voice unexpectedly cut in. The suddenness of the voice had everyone except Naruto and Hotemaru stunned as they looked up to see a red-headed figure with a large gourd standing under the branch of Sasuke's opposing tree. That kind of stealth, it's the same level as Kakashi's, the Uchiha noted, a bit unnerved by the fact. Jigara, Kankuro said a bit fearfully. Kankuro, Temari. You're disgraces to our village. Kankuro replied, What? But they started it, and, shut up, or I'll kill you, was the boy's cold reply, making Kankuro cringe and become more frightened before he began to apologize profusely. Temari was just as fearful as her brother. Damn, this guy's bad news if his teammates are scared of him, Naruto noted, unaffected by what was surely subtle killing intent thanks to his gamer's mind. However, Konohamaru and his friends weren't. Yo! You mind toning down the ki a bit? Pretty sure it'll attract the umbu or something. The boy's simple words served to stun not only Temari and Kankuro, but also surprise the upside-down redhead, too. For as long as they could remember, few, much less genin of all people, were unaffected by their brother's bloodlust. Gaara's surprise, however, soon turned into intrigue. He's not scared, and the other managed to hit Kankuro with a rock. Mother will be pleased. Seconds later did Gaara perform a Suna Shunshin and reappear in between Temari and Kankuro. We didn't come here to play. Let's go, Gaara ordered the two Suna Genin, and all three began leaving the area without so much as another word. Only to find their path blocked. Arf. That mutt's dead meat, though in Kankuro's opinion is better the dog than him. Arf. Arf. Sniff. Sniff, was all Hotamaru said as he began circling the redhead, sniffing all the while in a curious manner. The boy's scent was familiar in his opinion. Arf. Gaara, however, didn't even blink at the strange action but found the dog's actions both annoying and confusing. Hato! Get your mangy ass over here! Naruto ordered the young pup. The Nikken complied, and Kankuro couldn't help but think how very lucky that dog was. As Suna made to continue, Gaara asked, "What are your names?" He motioned to Sasuke and Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. This is Hotamaru, the blonde introduced. Arf. The pup wagged his tail. Uchiha Sasuke. And yours? The Rookie of the Year asked. The red-haired boy remained silent for a second before answering, Sabaka no Gaara. Quick use of his observe showed that all three had above levels for Genin. Kankuro was at level 27, Temari was at level 33, and Gaara was at level 45. The pop-up that followed soon after worried the boy. Challenge: Meet the Ichibi Jinchuriki. Has been completed. Reward 1000. Oh fuck, the exams just got a little more complicated it seemed. Omake, my two mothers Oiroke no Jutsu, sexy technique. Only to lose that smirk seconds later as the boy's form was replaced with a naked adult female version. The girl had it all: hourglass figure, flowing blonde pigtails, legs that wouldn't stop, and a perfect set of breasts covered by strategically placed wisps of smoke. Now. Jiraiya-sama? She finished with a seductive wink. 10. The super perverted couldn't help himself as he was launched into the air, blood gushing from his nostril like high-pressured water streams. Your reputation with Yuzuki Yugao has decreased by 100. Your reputation with Konoha's Umbu has increased by 100. Your reputation with Mitarashi Anko has increased by 100. Your reputation with Yamanaka Ino has increased by 100. Your reputation with Jiraiya has increased by 300. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. The increased reputation with the Umbu, Jiraiya and Anko were a given. Jiraiya and men in general were perverts, something he learned early on. Anko's rep was increased because it was a prank and possibly because she was bisexual. Yugao, despite being in the Umbu, was a bit classy so he could understand the decrease. Ino's increase, however, came as shock. A quickly glance allowed him to see her trying to hide her blush. Ino's a lesbian? That or bisexual, which was cool, Kida hot as well, and all in Naruto's opinion, whatever floats one's boat. The boy was just surprised given the amount of time she crushed after Sasuke. Then again, the same could be said about him with Sakura. The boy had lingering thoughts, true, but time away from her and time spent with teammates slowly but surely changed those feelings. Years later, come on, Naruto, it'll be fun, a lingerie-wearing Ino, which left nothing to the imagination, purred at her lover/husband. Ah man. Do I have to? Naruto asked. Doing it for kicks and pranks was one thing, doing it for sex is just weird. You didn't complain last time, the woman smirked, pressing her ample bosom against his arm, moving up and down ever so discreetly. I was drunk. Which was thanks to Kurama, the lazy bastard. And you took advantage of me. The man still couldn't figure out the logistics of it. If a man did that it was called rape, but if a woman did it then it wasn't? Fucking double standards. Oh boo-hoo. We had a blast that lasted 5 hours and you know it, Ino told the blushing and proud man. 5 hours wasn't even his best time either. Besides, it gave us Rika, didn't? Oh, don't remind me. Naruto loved his son with all his being, but the boy's conception left him conflicted and wanted to down an entire bottle of pure moonshine. You know we're gonna have to lie to him if he asks, right? Can't exactly say, hey kiddo, guess what? You were conceived when I was drunk off my ass and I was technically a futa because your mother wanted to spice things up. Oh, and your mother was eating the hell out of your aunt while she was pregnant with Imari. Thud. Naruto rushed from the master bedroom to find two unconscious boys, Boruto and Rika. Oh fuck. Oh, calm down. I got this. It's not the first time I wiped their memories, Ino commented and quickly went to work. What? How do I not know this? 'Cause I wipe away yours too, she nonchalantly told him. Your overreacting was starting to kill the mood and toys weren't gonna cut it for me. Are you kidding me? Naruto couldn't believe. No, wait, scratch that. He could believe it. How many times have you? 6 hours and 12 minutes later, Naruto blinked as his satisfied partner cuddled next to him. A job well done as always in his opinion. Ino's content smile and sleeping form reinforced the claim. And yet, why do I feel like I'm missing something? Ino's response was merely to cuddle closer to him for warmth, her naked and glistening with sweat form intermingling with his own. Her mischievous smile hidden from Naruto's view. In the end, Naruto chalked it up as unimportant and went to sleep. Chapter 30. The Chunin Exams. Well, what do you think so far, Mr. Uzumaki? The Abyss manager asked the blonde-haired ninja. Other than you guys working fast? Was the rhetorical answer. Looks good. Would have been better if it didn't cost me an arm and a leg. Some of the workers here Naruto recognized from Wave, Tazuna not being one of them as he learned the old drunk had taken over as its temporary leader. True, the manager acknowledged. The boy had spent a little over 1,000,000 ryo for the renovations and the additions he wanted. Quality was one of the reasons why the Abyss got where it was today. However, the manager knew that the ores and other materials he had on the auction would more than cover the expenses. I'm curious, why are you wanting a workshop? You don't strike me as the workshop type. Naruto had to begrudgingly admit that the man had a point. He wasn't the workshop type. However, thanks to his gamer ability, the boy learned that the addition of a workshop would boost the effectiveness and success of certain skills such as crafting, blacksmithing, fuinjutsu, gear maintenance, to name a few, by a great amount. Effectiveness was increased by 50% and success was increased by 25%. This meant a success rating of 50% would increase to 62.5%, while an effectiveness of 50% would increase to 75%. The main reason why was because Naruto wanted to increase these useful skills as quickly and efficiently as possible. Higher levels of fuinjutsu would do things the more conventional skills could not. Well-maintained weapons and gear would increase his martial techniques and decrease the damage he took, and better crafting would allow him to better create makeshift gear and other supplementary items more quickly and effectively. Blacksmith was something he considered doing for quite some time now. Gotta love shadow clones. Speaking of which, here the mysterious dealer reached into his coat and handed the boy a book on basic blacksmithing and a card. The book you ordered and the card is a bronze membership card. Normally it would take years to acquire one, but the amount of items you sold and bought from us hasten then earn. It's one of the 4 card types we give out to our more loyal clients. Abyss membership card, bronze, rare description, the lowest rank membership card of the Abyss. Allows the cardholder special deals and perks that only a select few can ever get. Special traits, plus 15% discount when buying from Abyss, plus 1.5% increase in profit from sold items from Abyss, Abyss profit cut reduced to 12.5%, Abyss bounty cut reduced to 17.5%. I'm guessing the others are bronze, silver, gold and platinum? Close. The last one is Scarlet, he stated and elaborated when he saw Naruto's look. It's named after the rarest, most valuable and sought after of the chakra metals, high hierocane, brilliant scarlet metal. But many call it the scarlet metal for short. Scarlet metal? Naruto had never heard of it. What makes it more valuable than the others? To answer your question, I have to tell you can it be brief? As much as he liked a good story, Naruto had other things he needed to do today. If the man was affronted by Naruto's bluntness, he masked it very well. Alright. In this world there are 3 highly sought-after chakra metals, elementium, adamantine, and scarlet. When properly tempered they can become indestructible to all but themselves. Now, elementium is highly valuable as it can channel elemental chakra like no other, and create a powerful and wickedly edged weapon as well. Adamantine can make a powerful piece of armor or bludgeon weapon that can absorb kinetic energy on a molecular level and even redirect that energy if properly made, making it virtually indestructible compared to the others. Naruto could tell that would be quite useful against taijutsu and weapon users. Elementium you can say is the spear while adamantine is the shield. However, you should not assume that elementium lacks durability, or that adamantine lacks offensive power. As I said, both can only be potentially harmed by one of the 3 chakra metals, he added. And scarlet metal has both qualities, right? Naruto haphazardly asked. One would think so, but no, the manager stated. Scarlet metal can be formed into a very sharp and durable weapon, true, but that's not where its qualities lie. No, what makes scarlet metal so special is its ability to devour, manipulate, and even negate chakra. That's it. Sure, it was a useful ability, but that couldn't be it in Naruto's opinion. You misunderstand. An object, if properly forged, made from this metal makes one immune to even the most powerful of genjutsu, as it will disrupt the opposing chakra and grant its wielder unfathomable degrees of control over their chakra that not even the best of the best can hope to accomplish. A person, if strong enough, can even use this to block and absorb the strongest Raton ninjutsu, and from that they can conjure a storm of scarlet flames. If the legend behind it is true, and here the man leaned in and whispered, the last time such a weapon was made, its first battle trial ended with the death of a Biju. Eyes wide open, Naruto now began to see the value. It made sense. Biju were beings of pure chakra. A metal with these properties and capabilities, and in the right hands, was a deadly weapon. Then again, it's only a legend. Findings on the metal were immensely rare and never in the same location. While very small deposits of the other metals have popped up every couple hundred years, the last sighting of the scarlet metal was near the dawn of the age known as the Era of Warring States. Its rarity was on an entirely different level compared to the other 2. Tempted as he was, Naruto knew he was lucky to have found what he did with elementium. Asking where it could be was now irrelevant with the manager's last comment. If he came across some, that would be damn awesome, but for now he asked another question: why is it called that? Because of the color, and because it creates a brilliant and otherworldly flame that negates and devours anything chakra related its user commands, was the man's simple answer, as he scribbled something down and handed it to the boy. What's this? He asked. It's valued by kilogram should you come across some, the manager responded. Oh, Naruto nodded and almost proceeded to pull a Hinata. Suffice it to say, its worth was much greater than elementium. But the boy had no time for fainting. Calling up his time, Naruto called Hato and then excused himself, as he knew his future home was in good care. That boy really is interesting, the manager mentally commented. A bit unrefined, true. But interesting nonetheless. Then again, so were his parents. The Abyss manager idly wondered just how interesting the boy was going to make things in the near future. He looked forward to see how the Chunin exams would go, too. XXX, well, this is it, was all Naruto could say. What else was there to say, really? The last few weeks, more like months or so thanks to his ability, had been pretty intense. The training involved burning the midnight oil long hours, refining their techniques and pushing their physical capabilities as much as possible in the dungeons. Not all days were like that, but most. Yeah, Ino nodded before she gave her team a smirk. Ready to kick ass? Arf. Hato barked. Hinata nodded. Just keep an eye out, Ino. Remember what I told you about the Suna team, Naruto stated. I get it, they're tough. Ino knew she was sugarcoating it and knew that Naruto didn't bullshit whenever levels came up. All 3 Suna genin were above average like them, especially the red-headed one, Gaara. When asked why, Naruto claimed Gaara had a question mark on him. It didn't answer the question, but experience told Ino that wasn't good news. So, any clues on what we're up against? Ino asked. Naruto shrugged. Beats me. Your guess is as good as mine. But if video games are anything to go by, then maybe a tourney or battle royale of some kind. It was a common theme to occur before one went up in ranks or leveled up their class. Do you think anyone we know will be there? Hinata asked. I overheard a few of my clan members saying that genin who enter the exams generally have a year's worth of experience, which, thanks to Naruto's ability, they more or less did, technically. So, chances of the team and Shika's teams being in this are low, huh? Naruto asked but received no answer. The Jinchuriki thought that sucked, but it was what it was. Calling up the time with his ability, Naruto saw they had less than 20 minutes to spare and began marching into the building that held the exams. However, It wasn't even 10 or so minutes later did the drama begin to unfold. And the exams had yet to officially begin. Seriously, how the hell did you graduate as top of the class? Sasuke scowled at Naruto's question, despite the blonde speaking the truth. Naruto was pretty surprised to see Team 7 in the first place. They were fresh genin after all. So was Team 8, but they were different. Hey, don't look at me. He's the one that fucked up. Kiba wasn't the sharpest kunai in the pouch, but even he knew how to count fucking floors. However, by the time the Inuzuka figured out what was happening, Sasuke had to open his big mouth. Well, at least you got your ass handed to ya, Kiba snarked, ignoring the frown directed at him from his two teammates. Could have gone without the image of whatever the hell that sunset thing was. The ninja and their team's Niken shuddered at the memory. Naruto understand bromance, but that sunset thing frightened the shit out of him. But what worried him was that Lee character's status window. Status window name, Rock Lee level, 35 HP, 5000 CP, 1000? STR, 150? Vit, 200 Dex, 215? INT, 40 WIS, 45 LUK, 77 DF, 45 Perks, Iron Body, plus 20 DF, plus 3 STR, DX, VIT per LVL, Physical Resistance increased by 30%, plus 30% EXP, Power and Effectiveness towards Taijutsu, plus 30% EXP, Power and Effectiveness towards Bukijutsu. Titles: Expert Martial Artist, plus 30% EXP, Power and Effectiveness towards Taijutsu, plus 30% EXP. Power and Effectiveness towards Bukijutsu. Fatigue levels reduced 30% slower when using Taijutsu skills. Genius of Hard Work, plus 20% EXP gain from completing daily quests, plus 30% EXP gain from completing missions. Flaws: Irregular pathways, incapable of using chakra externally, can be overridden in extreme circumstances. Description: Graduating as the dead last of his year, Rock Lee slowly but assuredly improved and began to prove his worth as a ninja through rigorous training and sheer dedication. What he lacks in genjutsu and ninjutsu skill, which is non-existent, he more than makes up for with his above-average skill in taijutsu. It was crystal clear to Naruto that the boy's skills were abnormally high like his own. However, Naruto's skill was in ninjutsu compared to Lee's taijutsu. The swift ass-kicking Sasuke received from the boy showed the gamer just how skilled the oddly dressed genin was and that he was not to be taken lightly, a fact he shared with his teammates. Naruto had no doubt that he'd have to go all out from the get-go if they fought. "Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked, noticing his look. "What is it?" "Lee," was all he said. "How strong he is. Makes me wonder who else will be that strong." Hinata, Ino, and Sakura couldn't help but wonder that too now that the thought was put out there. Naruto, Sasuke, and Kiba on the other hand were excited at the prospect of finding someone that would give them a challenge. Kiba had been pissed by Sasuke's dumb move, but that was more so because the Uchiha spilling the beans allowed the weaker and unworthy contestants to be added. Deciding to forget the occurrence for now, the groups continued making their way towards the exam room. As they approached their destination, both teams heard the voice of their mentors, and a very odd and awkward conversation. "Okay, I'll admit, Saiko and Kajiro have a history. But in today's standards, history means crap all. I mean, you read that tongue action Saiko and Naori had? Scene was intense, and I'm pretty sure you don't go all out to please someone like that if you're not interested in something more." She, of course, was referring to Saiko giving the tongue action. "I disagree. The fact that Saiko and Kajiro know one another for so long is a defined factor that they will end up with one another. It's been done so many times before," Kakashi argued. "Plus, I don't think Saiko would have exhausted herself like that if she didn't feel anything for him. Please. Just because the main male and female protagonists have a history and have the odd emotional moment don't mean squat. I will admit that cliffhanger on the three-way sucked," Anko groused. The scene had got good until it ran out of pages. "True," Kakashi had to agree. "Why the hell are you discussing porn?" A red-faced Sakura yelled, not believing she was actually hearing this. Both Kakashi and Anko looked at one another before they looked back at their teams with an answer. "We were bored and you took your sweet-ass time / nothing better to do really." Sakura's eye merely twitched at the answers. Rather than say anything, The girl grabbed Sasuke and Kiba and dragged her two teammates into the room, not bothering to say anything to their Jonin-sensei. Well, that was cold, Kakashi muttered before he bid teammate farewell. Ja. Well, you four know what to do, Anko said. Kick ass. Take names. Look out for one another. Hell no! Make me look good, or else, Anko finished with a frightening grin. Later. Great, Naruto muttered but spotted a posted letter on the door to the exam room. P.S. I believe in you guys. Anko. P.P.S. Burn this letter. Of course, Naruto wasn't surprised. Leave it to Anko to pull something like that in the end. Wordlessly, Team 8 marched into the room and saw a ton of genin from various villages. The air was tense, so much that it could be cut with a butter knife. So this is a Chunin exam, huh? Were he a greenhorn, Naruto would be nervous, but this was nothing. Ignoring them for now, Naruto spotted a few familiar faces and made his way towards them as a conversation began. Name's Kabuto. Oh, Hinata-kun, I didn't know you were taking the exams, Kabuto said, appearing mildly surprised. You've grown since I last saw you, he commented. You're telling me, Kiba thought. Sasuke said nothing, but even he couldn't deny the truth in the older genin's words. It was apparent to the males of Team 7 that Ino and Hinata had started to develop womanly curves. Meeting the members of Team 8 once more after the wave incident had been quite the surprise, especially since each member underwent a sudden growth spurt. True, a ninja's body was different compared to ordinary civilians. Genetics and the chakra they possessed had a role, so it wasn't out of the ordinary to see one growing more quickly. Kabuto-san, you're partaking in the exams too? Hinata asked. You know each other? Naruto asked his teammate. Hi. Kabuto-san helped me learn a bit more about medical ninjutsu when books weren't enough. He's a good instructor, and better than me at healing, the Hyuga praised. You're too kind, Hinata-kun. But you were a quick study and your Byakugan gives you an edge I don't possess. Unfortunately, as talented as I am at medical ninjutsu, I'm afraid I'm not very good at much else. This is my 7th try at the exams, my 4th year. Wow, you gotta suck then, Kiba snickered, only to be elbowed in the rib by Sakura and receive a scolding looking from Hinata, the latter one throwing him off, unexpected as it was. I wouldn't go that far. The Chunin exams aren't exactly a walk in the park and each one is different from the last, so it's not like you can stop yourself from repeating past mistakes. Even having it held in your home village won't matter, Kabuto explained. Past attempts at doing so did more harm than good for a village when their ninja weren't qualified to accomplish the influx the mission sent their way. My first 2 attempts, I never made it past the first round. The following 4 resulted in myself or my teammates being unable to continue, and the last one resulted in one of my teammates being killed and me barely making it out alive, Kabuto continued. Wait. People are killed in this thing? Chuji asked suddenly, the boy not so hungry anymore. But then the moment passed. Kabuto nodded, it can happen. Why do you think Jonin generally wait a year before they nominate their teams for these things? I'm surprised that all 9 of you are here actually. You're the first rookie teams in Konoha to be nominated in 5 years. Shino, however, gave a slight frown. How is it that you know so much of this, Kabuto-san? A few others couldn't help but agree with the Aburame. If Kabuto was as bad as he sounded, how did he know all this information in the first place? Aside from medical ninjutsu, I have a talent, if you will, when it comes to information gathering. Let's just say Konoha was a different place during the last war. I, along with many others, were forced into a life that was do or die without any opinion on the matter. Let's leave it at that, was the boy's reply. That would explain his level, but his stats are a bit off for a supposed failure. Naruto's expression remained impassive. Looking around, Naruto's noticed a few other genin whose levels and stats were way too high for genin, too. However, Naruto noticed a pattern among those ninja. They're all from Konoha, he noted. Was the village trying to up their chances? Anko had been a bit tight-lipped on the info, so Naruto was unsure of how this was supposed to go down. He'd keep his eye out though. Unfortunately, my talent for combat is pretty bad, so I haven't had much luck in these things. However, my skills as a medic and information gathering have allowed me to develop and procure these. Here the older teenager presented the group with a series of blank cards that Hinata instantly recognized. Those are Nin info cards. The girl recognized them from her time at the hospital. Correct. These are based off what we have registered and what I managed to find during my spare time. They're blank now, but once I channel a bit of chakra and voila. The once blank card soon turned into a detailed piece of paper. Whoa, neat, Naruto commented. The skill reminded Naruto of his ability to call up recorded information. Indeed, granted the information I have isn't perfect, but at least I'll know what I'm up against, Kabuto told them. Those ninja cards, Sasuke began. Do you have any information on participants? Some, but not all. Yes, Kabuto nodded. Who did you have in mind? Rock Lee, Sabaka no Gaara, and Uzumaki Naruto. Me. What the hell for? Naruto asked, confused by the Uchiha's actions. I have my reasons, was all Sasuke said. Oh, so that's how we're gonna play it, huh? Gimme what you got on the team here, Naruto told Kabuto. If Sasuke was annoyed, he didn't show it. All he did was grunt. Rock Lee, let's see. Here we go. Background is pretty unknown except that he's a year older than the rest of you and his teammates are Hyuga Niji and Higurashi Tenten. Currently, he is under the tutelage of Konoha's premier taijutsu master, Mado Gai, which explains the next bit. Graduated as the dead last in his year due to his abysmal skill in everything but taijutsu, which has greatly improved since then apparently. Mission history, 20 D ranks, 12 C ranks, and 2 B ranks. He has abysmal skill in everything but taijutsu? How's that even possible? Sakura asked. Granted, she knew from experience that Naruto himself used to be bad at everything. Well, it wasn't for a lack of trying, Kabuto replied. Many assumed he just had no talent as a ninja whatsoever. But I can't say any more without breaking doctor-patient confidentiality. Sorry, he apologized before moving on to the next card, not knowing that Naruto already knew why due to observe. Sabaka no Gaara, not much information about him other than he's the Kazekage's youngest son. His teammates consist of his older brother and sister, and that, oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow what? Kiba asked, not liking the suspense. Apparently, he's come back from every mission without a single scratch on him. Here's the odd part though. His mission history is 14 C ranks, 5 B ranks, and 1 A rank. Not a single D rank. That tidbit of information served to unsettle a few of the Konoha genin, and those nearby who were listening in on the conversation. Like I said, this information isn't completely accurate. I'm not the first to do this, so some of it may be fabricated to unsettle the competition, he tried reassuring, calming others while teammate knew it was most likely to be true. Now then. Uzumaki Naruto. Getting information on you was quite easy given your frequent trips to the hospital over the years, especially after a prank or stunt gone wrong. Naruto couldn't help but groan as the rest of the group chuckled at the recollection. Naruto couldn't fault them either. He had pulled some pretty bad ones that backfired on him. Background is unknown other than him being an orphan and born on the night of the fabled Kyuubi incident. Was considered a shoo-in for the title of dead last but made a remarkable turnaround partway through his final year that put him the middle ranking. Skills are in ninjutsu and bukijutsu, though they tend to be on the heavy hitter side. You have some skill in taijutsu, but there's nothing here about genjutsu. Your stamina is, and I quote the words of your teacher, gonna make a woman very damn happy one day. From the room where the jonin were looking and listening in on them, Anko cackled at her colleague's expressions. Kurenai sighed in exasperation, but there was a hint of red on her cheeks. Asuma inhaled too much and choked on his smoke. Kakashi continued reading his book but gave off a small laugh at the comment for reasons unknown. Guy went on about youth. Oh, come on! An embarrassed Naruto snatched the card, ignoring the stunned looks of those around him. Some of the kunoichi, however, were blushing mad. It can't possibly say that. Oh my god, it does! Seriously, Anko-sensei? He shouted. Kabuto merely took back his card and continued despite the scene. Moving on. Jonin instructor is Mitarashi Anko, teammates are Yamanaka Ino and Hyuga Hinata, and he has a Niken partner called Hadamaru. Arf. The ninja dog in question barked. Mission history is 45 D ranks, partially due to his abuse of the shadow clone technique. Wish I thought of that. 8 C ranks, and 4 B ranks, of which 2 later turned into. Oh, this can't be right. What? Chuji asked. Well, it says here that 2 of them were later reclassified as S-rank missions. The announcement created a silence in the room so great that a pincushion could be heard dropping 1 block away. Then, seconds later, it broke. Troublesome, the Nara sighed. With all this heat, Shikamaru was starting to regret doing this. Bullshit. Kiba declared, okay, the 1 S rank I get, we were on that mission with you. If I recall, it was more along the lines of us being your backup. Ino smirked while Kiba frowned as the technicality. She was, after all, telling the truth. But Kiba retorted in typical Inuzuka manner, shut it, blondie. Your tits and hair may have gotten bigger, but your brain's still the same size. Okay, I have no idea where that came from, especially since brain size has nothing to do with intelligence, dead last. Ino normally would have ripped the boy a new one but decided to save that for later. The girl now hoping there was a fight between Genin down the line. May I ask how it is possible that your team took on an S-rank mission? Those missions are reserved for Anbu and veteran Jonin only, Shino asked, though Shikamaru could tell his teammate's mind was already working out potential scenarios. Other Genin teams were just as curious. It's not like we planned it. It just happened, was all Naruto could say. Our first one started out as a B-rank mission because Team 7 needed backup. Things quickly escalated from there when we encountered Momochi Zabuza and later Hashigaki Kisame. Pretty much the same thing happened on the other one. Fishhead wanted payback? Kiba asked. Worse. Anko's sensei's teacher, Kiba paled considerably upon being told. Shit on a stick. The Inuzuka couldn't help exclaim. I'm lost. What does Anko-san's teacher have anything to do with this? Sakura queried. Oh, not much. Except for the fact he's Orochimaru of the Sannin. Kiba exclaimed, and it was Sakura's turn to pale. Even Sasuke became shocked. The others of the group couldn't help themselves either. How the hell are you guys alive? Out of all the Nukenin Konoha's had, that guy's one of the worst of the worst. Honestly, pure luck. Seriously, if you ever meet him, run for your life. We had a VIP with us and had no choice but to fight. Wouldn't call it a fight really, more of a one-sided ass-kicking. Asshole wasn't even taking it seriously either. All we could do was stall for time before help came along and forced him to retreat, Naruto informed. Who could have forced him to retreat? Jiraiya? Kiba asked, to which Naruto nodded. Seriously, he showed up again? Man, what are the odds? Jiraiya-sama has been tracking him for a very long time, Kiba-kun, Hinata told him. Indeed, Kabuto confirmed. Story is that Orochimaru was believed to have been a prime candidate for the position of Yondaime Hokage. Many claimed he went rogue when Minato-sama was chosen instead. Jiraiya-sama's been trying to track him down ever since. Rumor has it he's been spotted all over the elemental countries. From Mizu no Kuni to Kaminari no Kuni, Naruto noticed Hinata flinching a bit at the Kaminari bit. Hinata, you okay? Naruto asked her. I'm fine, she replied. Ah, that's right. The Hyuga incident, Kabuto recalled. You'll want to steer clear of those Kyuumo genin then. He motioned towards the back corner where 2 teams from Kyuumo stood beside one another. Naruto saw Hinata's breathing became a bit hastened while Niji developed a scowl of pure loathing. A quick use of observe told him that while one group wasn't going to be that big a deal to handle, the other might pose a problem given their levels. Status window name, Carry level, 29 HP, 2250 CP, 2500 STR, 65 VIT, 90 DX, 76 INT, 100 WIS, 75 LUK, 45 DF, 65 status window name, Omo level, 29 HP, 2750 CP, 2000 STR, 79 VID, 110 DX, 78 INT, 80 WIS, 60 LUK, 45 DF, 65 status window name, Ni Samui level, 32 HP, 3200 CP, 2000 STR, 68 VID, 128 DX, 107 INT, 112 WIS, 88 LUK, 56 DF. 80 Those 3 look like trouble, Naruto commented to the group, but only Ino and Hinata understood his meaning. Perceptive one, Kabuto noticed. What Naruto said was true, those three were not going to be easy pickings. Especially since all three were said to have been trained by their village's most powerful jonin, and the second most powerful man of the village, too. One of them was also directly related to the third most powerful jonin of the village. Holy shit! Kiba exclaimed, his eyes suddenly on Samui. Or, more accurately, her generous bust size. They're probably bigger than Hinata's, Naruto mentally commented. Damn! And I thought Hinata's cup size was generous, Ino thought, a little irked that her bust, though still impressive for her age, wasn't as pronounced as the Kumo Kunoichi or Hinata's. Oh mama! Hey, you think those are? Kiba suddenly, his mouth covered up by his teammate. Unknown to him, the Kunoichi in question frowned, having heard him from across the room. Not cool, Samui thought. Kiba, do us a favor and shut up. Sakura growled, having enough of his antics. She knew her teammate was smart, but damn if his habits didn't get on her nerves. She was tempted to clobber him good but needed him conscious for the exam. Forget the team, what do you have on them? Naruto asked, no longer interested in Sasuke's information. Not much, I'm afraid, Kabuto half lied. He knew some but had no info cards on either of the. Ever since the Hyuga incident, Kumo hasn't participated in any exam hosted by Konoha, or Suna because they're our allies. Apparently, there are talks of both villages trying to bury the hatchet on that incident. Those 6 are likely last-minute entrees, so I don't have much on them except basic Kumogakure information, I'm afraid. While Team 8 knew about Kumo's training regiment through Anko, the visible swords they carried made it clear as day to others who didn't know. Kumo had not demilitarized since the last war, and their genin on average were in greater standing compared to the other villages. Aside from them, there are genin from pretty much everywhere: Suna, Iwa, Aim, Kiri, Taki, Kusa. That last one surprised Team 8, and Oto. Though that last one's relatively new compared to the others, barely a year old, really. So I don't think we'll face much trouble from them despite the teams they sent. No sooner had he said that did Team 8 sense ill intent coming from the crowd, their friends ignorant of the incoming danger. Guys, Naruto muttered lowly, and prepared for anything. ICM, Ino stated, her legs tensing. 2 boys, and 1 kunoichi, Hinata confirmed, her eyes tracking them with complete ease, slightly above average chakra reserves and stats. Grr, Hato growled, ready to attack at any moment. Soon there was rapid movement in the crowd, and before the visiting genin could react, an Oto ninja jumped off a bench, soared high in the air, and launched 2 kunai towards Kabuto's location. The older genin backpedaled to avoid the projectiles, but had little time to avoid the genin suddenly appeared before him. Arm cocked back and ready to swing at the one that insulted his village, the Oto genin was unprepared by what happened next. Bark! A loud ferocious bark echoed in the room, frightening many and taking others by surprise as a large beast barreled into the genin and pinned him to the floor. Dosa! The female kunoichi from Otogekyu shouted, but felt cold deadly steel on her throat. Don't even try, sweetheart, Ino ordered, one dagger across the girl's throat, the other threatening to sever her spine. Don't move, Hinata instructed the genin that launched the kunai, hands glowing a threatening blue and aimed at his vitals. Growling, the one called Dosu could do nothing as a large powerful paw with deadly nails continued to forcibly hold him down. His eyes widened considerably by a wide margin as they gazed upon a series of sharp teeth attached to a head twice if not 3 times as large as his own. So, Naruto began, give me one good reason why my boy here shouldn't bite your head off. Naruto asked behind the canine. And trust me, it wouldn't be the first time. That declaration unnerved more than a few teams, especially the Konoha teams. Dosa said nothing but kept his eye on the 2. The Oto ninja quickly came to a conclusion, as he detected no lie, these genin, they're like us. They've killed others, the thought didn't put his mind at ease. After all, most genin, especially those who were born during times of peace, rarely ever killed. Suddenly, the exams weren't going to be as easy as the sound ninja thought. All right. Knock it off, you worthless bastards. A voice suddenly rang, followed soon after by an explosion of smoke. Brat, call off your mutt. Oto genin, pull that shit before the tests one more time and your village will have one less team representing them. Are we clear? The man shouted. Yeah, Ino dismissed her teacher's TNI superior, Anko sensei's right. He sucks the fun and joy out of everything. I heard that. Blow me, skull fuck. Ino retorted, making the genin and even the disguised Chunin gape. Naruto groaned while Hinata sighed, both due to the girl's actions. Rather than get mad, Hibiki's eye twitched and just ordered the genin to sit down and mentally sigh in exasperation. Ah, fuck. Another Anko. That's all I need. The girl had guts and spunk, which was good in the man's books. But the man knew she'd give him countless headaches if she was like her mentor. Anko hadn't made a secret of wanting her as an apprentice. Name's Marino Ibiki. I'll be your proctor for this part of the exam. For now, your asses are mine. He finished with a look that greatly unnerved the weak-hearted. Welcome to the first phase of the exams. Some time later, nearly an hour had passed since they began the written portion of the exam. The thought initially unsettling Naruto since, despite his improvement, it wasn't his strong suit. Were it not for his gamer's mind, Naruto believed he would have hyperventilated when he saw the questions. Even with him being seated next to Hinata, at best he'd be able to answer 4 or 5, but the rest, no fucking way. Sure, his INT and WIS were very high now, but what good was that if he didn't know the correct answer or have it available with his ability? In fact, as time passed and the more he thought about it, Naruto realized something. This written test was a cloak to hide the real test, information gathering. Cheating once resulted in automatic failure at the academy. Ironic given their line of duty, but in this one they merely deducted 2 points for each attempt caught. With 10 points to start with, this meant that if Naruto struck out 5 times, his team was finished. So for the next 40-odd minutes Naruto kept his head down and carefully scanned the area around him until he found his mark. The blonde then ordered his Niken to play his role, which, in this case, was urinating on the leg of the ninja opposite him. The ploy certainly worked, and when Naruto retrieved the Niken he switched his test with his targets, while they were distracted. While Naruto and Hadamaru were being brought back, one genin accused him of stealing his test, only for Naruto to point at his seat to reveal his paper. Technically it was Hinata's who was covering for him, had never left its spot. This caused the two genin beside one another to start fighting amongst each other instead. That is, until Ibiki had enough and failed them. All in all, Naruto felt damn proud for pulling that one off and decided to take a page out of Shikamaru's book and took a short nap. By the time he woke up, Ibiki was finishing up some speech or whatever. Is that it? No one else wants to quit? Ibiki asked the remaining genin of the room. Remember, if you FAI, snore. Snore! Ibiki's eye began to twitch as his vision landed on Naruto's sleeping form. Wake up! He shouted, bringing his arm down on the sleeping boy. The man's fist came up short as Naruto's arm shot up and grabbed the appendage in a strong vice. The Chunin were stunned while many had bulging eyes. Ibiki was surprised. From their location, quite a few of the Jonin were rendered speechless. True, Taijutsu wasn't Ibiki's strong suit compared to TNI, but the man was a Tokubetsu Jonin for a reason. Yeah, when you learn under a crazy person, that shit stops working after a while, Naruto informed the man. Ibiki mentally sweat dropped, believing every word. So, can we get this show on the road already? Or can I continue napping? Ibiki remained impassive as he continued looking at the boy. His mind wondering if this whole thing was a setup from the get-go, wouldn't be surprised after that stunt he pulled, the head of torture and interrogation thought. As he retracted his arm, the man realized that his influence over the room was now gone thanks to the boy. Ibiki sighed as he knew this was as good as it was gonna be despite the large number of teams remaining and decided to get on with it. Congratulations. To the teams that remain, you all passed the first test. We do? Sweet. Naruto cheered but inwardly sighed out in relief. Can't believe my bluff worked. What about the 10th question? What was the point of all this? He heard Sakura ask, confused by the turn of events. Ibiki merely smiled, his personality completely changing, as he began explaining. True to Naruto's instinct, the intent of the exam was not the written test but to acquire information. The second was seeing how well an individual did under pressure. The final aspect, the final question, was to see if they had the characteristics and the guts to become Chunin. For there will come a time where you have no choice but to move forward despite the odds stacked against you. To survive, endure, and be courageous enough to face those hardships. Those are what make a Chunin. Those cowards, who took the safe route because they didn't have the guts to push forward, don't have the right to become Chunin in my books, the man finished. So now we crash. Wah dash! We're under attack. Many genin in the room scrambled for their lives at notion, but 3 genin merely sighed at the action. Alright, you little shits. This is no time for celebrating. 'Cause the proctor for the next part of the exam is me. The super sexy and vivacious Mitarashi Anko. Mate, Naruto commented, causing the woman face plant. What? That was a primo entrance, Gaki. Anko shouted. You're early, Anko, Ibiki commented. Kids got a point for deducting points. Timing does count. Oh, fuck you. Everyone's a critic. Anko sulked, making many deadpan or become shocked by the grown woman's behavior, whatever. Team 8. Good job on passing the first part. Now I won't have to tan your tight asses, she applauded her team before swiftly doing a head count. 88, 89, 90. 90. You let 30 teams pass, Ibiki. You're losing your touch, old man, she grinned. The man's eye twitched at the old man comment. I'm only 3 years older than you, Anko. Bah. Whatever. After the second phase, I'll have cut down their numbers by half, she smirked unsettlingly. Many genin shivered and gulped at the notion, scared of what the second half would be. Well, it couldn't be that bad, were the thoughts of some. XXX, they were wrong. It was that bad, very bad actually. Before them was a wide expanse of trees that looked like it came straight out of a horror story. Dark shadows that moved from one spot to the next, eyes hidden in the darkness that looked at them hungrily, and frightening sounds like the crunching of bones. The name of this place was very fitting. Welcome to Training Ground 44. aka, the Forest of Death, Anko cackled at their fearful looks. Normally this place is only accessible to Umbu and Jonin because of the wildlife and hazardous terrain inside. Luckily for you we took some of the nastier beasties out to make it a little easier, but not all of them, Anko dashed the hopes of many with the added comment. Rules are simply. Rule 1. The training ground has a tower you must reach within 5 days, but there's a catch. Each team will receive either an Earth or Heaven scroll, and your team needs both in order to pass the second portion of the exam. Rule 2. Every member of your team must arrive at the tower once both scrolls are procured. If even one of you is missing, your team cannot enter the tower until you find them. Any team that misses the deadline will be disqualified and shall make their way out of the Forest of Death. Rule 3. In the event one or more of your teammates is killed, you will automatically be disqualified. A team member that dies within the tower due to injuries will not disqualify the rest of their team. Should you enter the tower with serious injuries, please repeat them immediately to get them treated. And finally, Rule 4. Opening the scrolls unless you've reached the tower is prohibited. Those who break this rule will have some very unpleasant surprises. The grin on the woman's face unnerved many. What about food? Ino groaned, knowing exactly who asked the question. Why Daddy thought it was a good idea for us to be paired again, I don't know. Sure, it was a tradition, but just because they were close didn't mean everyone in the Yamanaka, Nara, and Akimichi got along. There are plenty of resources in the forest. Not my problem if you don't know how to forage and hunt, she shrugged. Before the genin could argue, Anko pulled out a stack of papers. Before we begin, I'll need you all to sign these waivers. Like I said, there's a chance that some of you will die. Don't like it, tough shit. Right now's your only chance to back out. Once you sign these, the only way back out is by reaching the tower 10 kilometers in or in body bags. Man, Anko-sensei's really laying it on, Naruto muttered. I know. Half of them looking ready to shit themselves, Ino commented. Looks like you'll have to perform CPR, Hinata. They'll be fine. I'm not a registered medic anyway. As such, I'm not obligated to do anything for them, the girl smiled too sweetly. Whoa, the two blondes had no idea where the hell that came from. Both were cut off from their thoughts as a voice called to them. Naruto-san? Huh? Haku? What are you doing here? Naruto asked the ninja, or was it Kunoichi? So, how does this work? Naruto asked, unfamiliar with the process. Truthfully, I'm still figuring it out myself. Mei-sama wasn't exactly pleased with Zabuza-sama when she found out about my upbringing. The memory of the newly instated Mizuki chasing and trying to castrate the former missing ninja with his own sword was one that many wouldn't be forgetting any time soon. Despite her feminine build, Mei was very strong judging by the way she wielded the man's sword. Regardless, it's nice to see you again, Naruto-kun, Haku greeted the boy. As for why I'm here, I'm representing my village. However, if I'm honest, it's still a bit odd. I think Naruto meant how are you here? Last I heard, Kiri was still in the midst of a civil war? Ino questioned. The war officially ended almost a month ago. With the money we earned after Nami, our forces began winning more and more battles at an accelerated rate. The Yonde Mizukage disappeared sometime during this and victory for the resistance became assured, Haku explained. It's not perfect but things are slowly coming back together. Kiri sent you guys to show the world you're still in the game, huh? Naruto earned himself some looks. What? Kiri's the weakest of the Great Five, no offense, Haku. None taken, the ninja couldn't dispute the truth of those words. Given everything that's happened, we entered almost at the last second. Originally, we weren't supposed to come, but Zabuza-sensei was very persuasive. My team is here to show everyone that, despite everything, Kiri is still a force to be reckoned with. Zabuza-sensei has been pushing us hard as a result, Haku shuddered a bit. If the ninja thought the man was a sadist before, then she didn't want to know what his training was classified as. Hey! What the hell's going on? A voice behind Haku called out. Haku, we need to get going. Who are you? Where are my manners? Naruto-kun, these are my teammates, Chojuro and Hozuki Sujetsu. Hello, the blue-haired boy shyly introduced himself, the action reminding teammate of Hinata. Well, pre-teammate Hinata. Sup, was all Sujetsu said before he took an interest in Naruto. So, you're the guy that actually landed a hit that made the monster of the bloody mist bleed and survive a head-on attack from Samahata itself. I don't see it, he finished, but was cuffed upside the head by his teammate. You'll have to forgive him. Suijetsu-san tends to think with his mouth, and that's pretty much it, was all Haku could say. It was the best way to describe the aspired-to-be seventh swordsman. But out, man, woman, whatever, Suijetsu didn't know which noun to use. Let's move. The sooner we go in, the sooner the fun begins, he grinned, revealing a set of sharpened teeth before he walked away, his group following after him. Someone's in need of some serious dental, Ino dryly commented before adding, gotta feel sorry for whoever he goes down on. Naruto groaned while Hinata blushed. Hato scratched behind his ear. As she and her team collected their respective scroll, theirs was a heaven, and began making their way towards the gate. At the sound of Anko's shout, all teams made their way inside the forest of death, some slow and cautiously, others more brazenly. The 4 members of Team 8, having spent approximate 1/3 of a year in the wilderness, unanimously agreed they would reach the tower on their first day. They could survive, but they were good for the next little while. As they reached the top of the gargantuan trees, Naruto began to give out orders. Hinata, mind finding our first victims? Hi! She said and proceeded to scan the area around her with her bloodline as quickly as she could. It took some, what with the area being so large and wide, but after 3 minutes Hinata managed to find a group. 7 minutes that way, she pointed, Genin are from Amigakure. Chakra levels are marginally above average. Right, wanna just pounce and beat the crap out of them like no tomorrow? Naruto asked. Actually, I've been wanting to use something Anko-sensei taught me. But I'll need your help, Hinata. The Hyuga nodded and gave the blonde her support. What about us? Naruto asked and Hato barked in agreement. Simple, enjoy the show and hit when they let their guard down, Ino told him. Huh? Minutes later anything? Oboro asked. Nothing? Kagari shook his head. Looks like this zone's a bust. Oboro scowled. I could have sworn I sensed someone. Whatever, we'll head to the tower and ambush a group. Where's Mubi? Wondering where the 3rd member of the group was. Said he had to take a piss. That was almost 2 minutes ago, Kagari realized. Idiot! It won't matter if we have a scroll, without him we can't move on. Which way did the idiot go? Kagari merely pointed east, and east they went to find their teammate. Kagari hoped nothing happened, as Oboro would take his anger out on him if their chances of passing ended not 20 minutes in. Lady Luck, however, smiled upon him as they found their last teammate crouched behind a bush. Oboro was about to charge until Mubi quickly spun and silenced them with a gesture. Both Genin understood and swiftly crouched and harshly whispered, "What have you been doing?" Well, you're not gonna believe this." Mubi merely pointed in back of him. Curious, the other two members of Team Oboro carefully looked through the bush and saw an unbelievable sight. Ino-chan, Hinata blushed as the blonde continued to lightly peck and grope the Hyuga. "No, not here." Come on. You love it." Here the Yamanaka grope even harder and began to nibble on her ear. "Besides, when are gonna get another chance at this?" "But..." The girl was silenced as Ino covered her lips with her own. "Guys, this is happening, right?" Kagari asked, not really believing his eyes. "If it's not, I don't want to be told otherwise," Oboro said, transfixed by the once-in-a-lifetime scene. Yeah, was all Mubi could say and continued to watch. The groping the blonde was performing becoming more intense, making the aim's attention to their surroundings becoming non-existent. "Okay, that's enough porn for you three," a voice from behind suddenly spoke, and then darkness took them. Once he made certain they were all out like a light, Naruto rummaged through their belongings until he found what he was looking for. To his delight, it was an earth scroll to complement their heaven scroll, to which Naruto promptly placed into his inventory box. "Took you long enough," Ino said as she rearranged her clothes. "What can I say? Two beauties making out and groping like no tomorrow. I may be a nice guy, but I'm still a guy. No way in hell was he gonna let such an opportunity pass." But all said and done, good job. Naruto smiled but looked concerned when Hinata couldn't face him without turning redder. "You okay, Hinata?" Fine, now Naruto-kun," Hinata muttered. Truthfully, per Ino's suggestion, the girl had to imagine she was doing the act with the blonde male to make it through. Hinata wasn't blind and knew Ino probably enjoyed it more than she should have. Hinata would be lying if a tiny part of her didn't either, but in her mind it was both Naruto and Ino doing the act to her. Bayerk? Suddenly and without warning, the large Niken barreled into them. No sooner did the act take place did a cloud of dust, earth, and would form as a large unknown shadow crash onto their previously occupied location. A guttural snarl, savage and resounded with primal fury, was sung and revealed the assailant to the world. Tall and scaly with two curved horns, the creature appearing almost like a humanoid crocodile or some other reptilian creature. "Guys, what the hell is that?" Ino asked, and through his observe Naruto found the answer. "Bad news," he said. "Remember that giant lizard thing we fought?" "Yeah. Turns out he got an upgrade." Naruto knew that was putting it lightly. "Evolved chakra mutation, Death Claw, LV 50? HP 10,000? CP 2500 STR, 254 VID, 200 DX, 223 INT, 100 WIS, 46 LUK, 99 defense, 185 special perk, Abnormal chakra mutation. This perk offers the creature the chance to evolve and mutate into something much more powerful. Perks: Apex chakra mutation, plus 5000 HP, plus 50 DF, plus 65% increase towards STR and DX during combat, plus 65% resistance towards Bukijutsu, plus 35% resistance towards ninjutsu, plus 75% chance to cause fear towards low-level creatures' camouflage, plus 90% effectiveness stealth and stealth-based skills, plus 90% chance to cause critical hits, plus 70% chance of being undetected natural assassin, plus 65% effectiveness and power towards stealth and stealth-based skills, plus 65% effectiveness towards tracking skill, plus 65% chance to cause critical hits, plus 65% increase towards speed when using stealth description. A chakra mutation previously faced by teammate that took on the form of a very large monitor lizard. Since its defeat, it has recovered from its wounds and underwent further mutation. While its size remains the same, It has undergone a serious change in looks and its stats have received a remarkable boost, too. EXP earned? Drops? Running was no good thanks to the boost in the tracking skill, which left only two options, fight or flight. And Naruto being Naruto wasn't about to turn down a good fight.